to get mid-prio and be really annoying so that Lemma and Sophia will have a hard time rotating. Ooh, I like this Alice.
I really like the picks now. Coming from GXP, right?
Yes.
Like the Baksha pick first was all right. I didn't really like it at first, but then Na'Vi responded with just Lilia and Glue. So that gave GXP an opening to punish them. The Alice pick is great for the Glue. The Farsa here as well. Really good poke and some more range that they didn't have in the previous game.
If Na'Vi PH want to play around a solid formation around their mid laner, then around their gold laner, excuse me, maybe a Moskov at red 3 would be warranted, or you pick it up at red 4, you just take away the Claude if you feel like the Claude won't have enough firepower to deal with what could be a very fast scaling Baksha Alice Farsa together. I'm okay with that. At the same time, you take away a pick. Oh, but instead they still go for the carry. They wanted that melt damage, all that damage that you need to deal with the Baksha and Alice together. So now they should probably take away the Claude and the Moskov.
Yep, should be the Claude and the Moskov. There's already too much magic there. I think it's fine to go for the Harith, to go up against the Harith with the carry and the Lilia anyways. So for Na'Vi, it's just back to basics. It's back to, all right, now what do we go for in XP and jungle? Is it the safe 2 double frontliners here, or do they go kind of crazy with it? Because it could just be a Barat's Mathilda on Na'Vi's side as well.
Yeah.
Chomp down on the Baksha, don't let him get on the red trees, and then win out through playing for your backline.
Yeah, they could still swerve that glue to the EXP and get the combination that is looming right now.
And get Lapu for the Farsa. Use all.
Also, there's so many options. So this is the gamble that GXP wanted to play into, but at the same time, they're still leaving a lot of options available for Na'Vi. You pick up the glue early on because you want that flexibility. You make it hard to read whether or not it would actually go into the roam, or is it a flex pick potentially for the EXP. Lots of picks. So Galaxy, they're respecting power right now. Ooh. They take out the Freya.
I'm not a fan of that. You know, I think with the Alice and the Baksha, you already have the anti-regen, you have the sustain, and also the burst from the Farsa to try to deal with the Freya. You're leaving so many heroes open for not Ayanami. There's already a Yuzong that we mentioned. This could possibly, if they really want to go for the lock, the Terizla too could work, right? There's just so many picks.
It could have a really solid front line in the end that makes it nigh impossible for Galaxy Phoenix to make it to the carry. Even if you commit the Throne of Ruin and the Gleam, one dash out, and if you have no other hero with you to try and jump the carry, then it's going to be a great day for Na'Vi.
If it's an assassin in the jungle, we'll see the Terizla. If it's a fighter slash tank, then we're going to see more of that Lapu Lapu and dive heroes. Yuzong, even.
Yuzong,
Atlas gets banned out, so there you go. At least a bit of respect given to GXP, knowing that the glue is still very vulnerable to lockdown.
Even though naturally Alice did come back into our visions when Yuzong started wreaking havoc maybe a season or 2 ago for our MPL leagues. They still respect the Yuzong. Okay, but again, we've mentioned all the EXP laners that not Ayanami could pick for. She is back into the position of I can pick whatever I want. That's pretty much okay. It's kind of awkward though if you want to consider something like the CC with the Farsa there. You want to be able to latch onto the Baksha, but then with the Alice also you don't know. So still, options are available. I like the flexibility of the Roam Glue pick. I think it's difficult for Galaxy Phoenix to really read into it right now.
That's why that flex pick on the glue is really, I mean, it's a mind game for sure.
Yeah,
GXP, you're thinking about it. They've already banned 2 XPs. It could just go to the XP lane and they go for another roamer.
The Claude will still be open, and Claude does benefit greatly from the little mini glulets. You get your stacks much quicker.
Yeah.
And they show it. They do get the again. This is another flex pick.
Yeah.
This could surprisingly go into the roam all of a sudden.
Could still be a roam, Akai, and a glue XP into an assassin jungle. Yes. Yeah. And it could be a jungle Akai to a roam glue to then something in XP, or again, it could also just be a damage in XP with the roam going glue, glue going roam. Irithel. I am not a fan of that.
We've seen some Irithel performances here, and she does hurt, especially once she gets Berk as her first item, Berserker's Fury. But this feels like something the Galaxy Phoenix really prepared for. So maybe there's an angle that we're not seeing right now, but I think we're in agreement here that maybe not the best option to go for at this moment.
Where do they even go? They go for Rome.
Yeah, it's the Rome.
Minotaur.
AoE, presence, their Irithel. Oh, this is all in for the Irithel. The good thing is they have some great damage with the Irithel and Farsa together. But once that Irithel goes out, you're just going to have really tanky dudes wondering why they can't kill anyone.
I think it really should just be the Lapu-Lapu, someone that can dive in the back line through the Irithel and the Farsa, break that formation as the carry and Lilia shreds through this tanky composition up front.
Yeah, if not Ayanami is feeling amazing today, then if you want to really shred through the formation with damage, crowd control, then you pick up a Benedetta. But that's more of like an ego pick. That's more of like I'm really feeling myself today and I want to show off pick.
You know what? I like it, you know? Sanford's my boy. I think the Benedetta should be the pick for Na'Vi. Oh, yeah, the flex. They just pulled the crazy flex. It's Glue XP, a Kai Jungle, and roaming Kaja.
My goodness, what a hero draft, but was it enough for Galaxy Phoenix to take down Na'Vi? Who knows? The underdog story is still alive, but only just. Na'Vi is looking to reclaim what they lost a couple years ago, be back in grand finals, be a champion once again, and they are one map away from entering the grand finals. It's Galaxy Phoenix versus Na'Vi. Brigida, Gideon, let's get it started.
History has told us that maybe Na'Vi just didn't have what it takes, but this year it's different. With competitors from all over the world, this competition has only gotten better, and Na'Vi are one game away from qualifying to the grand finals, unless Galaxy Phoenix can extend this series. Let's jump into this right here, right now in the Land of Dawn, as we hope that level 1 doesn't go as badly as game number 2.
They're so close to making it back, and that's knowing that all these new regions, all these competitors have been stepping up in their own ways too. But even in their most desperate moments, Na'Vi, right now that they're back on track, they're just not letting go of these more unique types of roamers and compositions, and they're making it work every single time. That sudden flex now to reveal the Kaja, but a great start for GXP, forcing out the flicker from Riyadh.
Okay, a little unfortunate that Winnie did not get the gold crab, but Mirai was able to steal it away. But at this stage, you can see what exactly they want to do. Sophia is a little under-leveled here.
Oh, Lema to flicker to... This has been the trend for every single early game. Na'Vi with the Lilia not changing their mid-hero for 3 games straight, just constantly spamming all these pokes. And now that it's with a Kaja, it's a lot more annoying in a sense that even the Kaja is just gonna walk up straight to you, apply these slows, and potentially even a bit more damage.
Yeah, what I can't understand here was what happened here at level 1. Why was the first rotation down towards the goal when it should have been here in the mid? The mid is struggling right now. Unless Sophia can close the distance and land that stun onto Rain and get a full commitment with Lima in the jungle, that's kind of the only problem. But Winnie here might just get solo killed, no problem as well.
Oh, so close! And she does! First blood over to Riyadh. No flicker though. Can Lima actually take her out? There's a dash and the concussive blast will actually be enough.
God bless. At least they were able to get it back, and now it actually is slightly in Winnie's favor because they're going to be able to make it to that wave first. However, the gold is still in favor of Riyadh as now the turtle spawns out. Let's see how it plays.
Link shows up, Throner Coin already casted, but the heavy spin 2 pins down their jungler. Fa could not live long, but actually gets to land the retribution. Also will go down, but that's going to be an exchange of Keishi. Both junglers traded by these two teams. Oh, Keishi, or not Ayanami rather, being chased. That's going to be another kill over to GXP.
And not Ayanami, unfortunately, not finding the perfect angle to actually get the split down.
Ok, tenemos a Galaxy contra Na'Vi, perfecto.
Getting control over that wave after this solo
Es
kill,
que tuvieron
initially
partidas
most
muy
people are going to
buenas,
be
la
thinking,
verdad.
yeah, no, this is going to be great. Rian equalizes the
Estamos
lane.
en la oscuridad,
Assuming that Rian was able to survive
Por si
right
quieres
up
estar
till
allá.
the dive. Now you can see the level lead as well as the gold lead becoming more clear as Winnie is trying to just lock out this lane.
I feel like GXP too, after what happened in game number 2, are just like, yeah, we cannot just let Winnie experience the same thing all over again.
No more.
This isn't a chip lineup anyway, but the fact that they are on a very hard lockdown type of composition who could just pretty much combo it with either the carry and the Lilia are still going to be a massive threat for Winnie as the main damage dealer later on.
No sé si
so now they are somehow showing us more and more rotations towards the bottom lane. I think that's also why you got to see that in the first minute of the game.
Yeah, I think Winnie at this point is probably just praying, like, please do not let me get hit by Divine Judgment, like, anything but that. I don't mind a heavy spin, I got Purified, but now the next fight begins.
Okay, it's gonna be Mirai as the target quickly bursted down as expected. From Sophia and the rest of GXB. Even the EXP lanes being managed really well by Link right now.
They managed to find an interception, which is great, but also I think Na'Vi unfortunately is still having a bit of lingering thoughts from the previous game, thinking that they're really far ahead. Mirai, you're not in that position anymore, you know? You're not having an extra 1,000 gold on top of Lima this time round.
Yeah, and there wasn't, I think, anyone there yet to just really apply
Ya mañana termina y las partidas van a estar
If
súper
ever they did get
largas.
to find a Divine Judgment, they could probably deal a bit of
Van a
pull here and
ser
there, but this is where
un
it
BO5
really
y un
should
BO7.
matter. This is the next turtle of the game,
Hoy
and
son dos
both teams
BO5.
are going to fight for it.
Mirai can put the handcuffs on somebody. Unfortunately, they still need someone else to be the guillotine. Oh,
Buzz after Keishi, that forces out the heavy spin, and the
queda un
Predator
poquito
strike
mi vida.
already gets committed as
Pero
well,
no
but I
pasa
believe it
nada.
was cancelled, and now it's an isolation play onto Fa! Oh! Throw the Ruin and Yo and Fury! GXP might actually turn things around, Rain having to flicker out, Winnie with a heavy crossbow, dealing a lot of damage as well, and they survive. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far, both junglers are down.
that counter engage coming in from Ling to save the day right at the very end. However, Rian still 2-1 score, trying to keep back up, and despite what happened in the early stages of the game, manages to get enough of a care package, some economic aid to stay even.
All these ult-reliant heroes from GXP though, they probably will get it back a few moments later, but Na'Vi are just for sure going to be confident enough to get back in this too. It's only the heavy spin that's been taken out alongside Divine Judgment.
I don't understand why Ling is still trying to pull the wave. They know that they didn't have their ults earlier. They could have started zoning out way earlier. They knew they didn't have ults. They also knew they didn't have the battle spells. And now they're giving up the space over to Na'Vi.
Yep, because Na'Vi are back. Heavy spin is back, and the turtle gets reset all over again. But it's going to be an attempt from Ling, which doesn't land onto anyone. And look at how not Ayanami is just trying to go for the zone. An annoying way to just break formation. Minoan Fury forced out again, but it's Casey who gets knocked off. Fa still finding retribution. They get to isolate Ling, but they might not have the damage for this. It's GXP finding more kills.
Unfortunate indeed. Honestly, Na'Vi played as good as they can to kind of get out of this situation, but that first initial whiff coming in from Ling, really unfortunate to say the least, but Fa still made it work. Steals away the Lord just in time, because Keishi had pretty much all the advantages.
Yep, they're really working as a unit at this point. Now a quick conversion to another objective as well. GXP are just focusing so much of their resources towards the bottom lane, even in that entire sequence where it feels like they barely paid attention to the other parts of the map, just as long as they could win it out in that turtle fight.
Right now they just want to keep on progressing it, right? Whoa.
Divine Judgment, that's gonna be one. It's a shutdown on Sophia. I think it's a great start if Na'Vi, who slowly wants to get back in this game.
But some of the bad habits are starting to show. The way that GXP are opening up the map is honestly getting them killed more often than not. Oh, good flicker and a pull!
Oh, what a timing! He still gets brought back. Now it's another kill for Na'Vi. It's both mid-duos.
Yeah, Lima tried to use the Minoan Fury as a means to not get displaced because of the anti-CC, but just did it a little too late, unfortunately. This punish is good, but that battle spell, I don't know. If you're already gonna flicker anyway, you might as well just let it happen.
Yeah, and Nara Yanami will just get it back real quick. We're looking at the goal difference right now. Not much in terms of the gold lane, not much in terms of most of the lanes. It's really in the macro that you kind of feel what GXP wants to do differently this time in comparison to Na'Vi.
But at the same time, it feels like both Na'Vi and GXP, they've sharpened each other enough after these past two games. They're really picking up on the bad habits. Look at this!
Oh, once again, we find another isolation. Sophia gets caught here by not Ayanami, but will get to Wings by Wings her out. But under the turret, can Ayanami still find the kill? It seems like it's a no, and then Fa gets dragged back under the turret.
Oh!
An unfortunate sequence for GXP.
Really sad. Really sad, but well played from Na'Vi. They are not going to take this sitting
Está muy
down. They're
reñida.
going to make
Una
sure
torreta,
that they're being tall and
muy
proud
nula.
when they take
Diferencia de
this
oro,
game away. It's 6-6 so far, and Na'Vi are in full position to take the Lord as
6
well.
kills,
Fire
6
Judgment is
kills,
not
8
up, and
minutos de
Split Squid
partida.
is still on cooldown.
This is just so interesting to me
Eso
how
está
Na'Vi are
muy
able to
reñido,
deal with
muy
either the
reñido.
utility or assassin comp from GXP.
Mucho, muy
Right?
reñido, la
I
verdad.
totally agree with you because again, we're seeing many different sides of Na'Vi. Usually, we see a lot of big personalities, but a very linear and
Yo
clear
tengo un
idea
delay
of how they want to
en
play a game.
la
Na'Vi,
moradita
not
y en
only
la
have they
roja.
shown how tall they are, but
En
they are
la
showing
obscurita
how
no tengo. Ahí
wide
no hay
this team
delay.
composition and the styles of play that they have in their
Ahí
pockets
está
are.
Oh,
súper
they're
bien.
going to go for Rain.
What?
That's the Minoan
No,
Fury
sí
and the
se
Throne
puede
of
poner
Ruin,
ahí
but the heavy
delay.
spin as a defensive tool to just make sure that GXP are not able to push forward. Rian joining in the fight too might make a huge difference
Es
right
que
now.
está
GXP
brutalmente
lose a
reñido
little more
en
in
todo.
the process.
Diferencia de oro,
That's gonna be
tipo
a
de
2-for-1
TF,
trade right
iniciaciones.
before the Lord.
That was a pretty good
Detallitos son
idea
al final los de
initially from
cuenta los
Navi's
que
side.
lo
I
que
think there
hacen
was a little bit
que
of
uno u
hesitation
otro
from
se
Rian. Let's
lleve
pull
la
up the
partida,
item list. I want to
tal
just
vez en
get
la
a
parte
double
de
confirmation on whether
resistencia,
or not
pero
the Trinity
del
has been
personaje,
complete,
pero
and
de ahí en
that's
fuera,
why she would have to
súper
commit to her
reñidísimo.
full ult to ensure that at least they get a trade back. But without the
Mucho, muy,
DHS,
muy,
it's going to
muy
be a lot
reñido.
harder to get through the Limas and the Faz if you're only hoping that your passive is going to be enough.
They're gonna burst it down real quick. They do not want another instance of GXP just potentially trying to fight back, considering what you just mentioned. They still don't have the DHS, but
Son las
at least for
semifinales
now
del
they
día de hoy.
get a bit
Van
more
a ser dos
advantage
partidas
and the
BO5.
first Lord
Y
of
el
the
día,
game
el día de
as
mañana
well.
van a
But it's
jugar
interesting, at least for
dos
GXP, they're
partidas.
able to really push the sides, but
Veo
Mirai, all alone here, gets a bit of protection from Keishi, and now
5
two
y luego veo
members at
7.
least brought really
O sea, mañana
close
sí va a estar
under their
más
very
cardíaco
own
el día.
territory. Throne of Ruin casted by Ling, not Ayanami trying to find a target. Does find one, but the damage dealers aren't here. GXP are just turning things around. Rian finally comes to join, but then Sophia,
Pero mira,
Mirai
9-9,
from behind. Who does she
8-8.
find? It's Sophia, but she doesn't have the divine
Es que mira, se
judgment.
concentran
Rain
re
and
bien.
Rian are making it work all by themselves.
This is what I was talking about. Bad habits. They notice GXP, they keep coming at us front to back. They're not thinking about their size. They're not thinking about fights. They're not thinking about that huge top wave getting demolished by the Lord.
And now Na'Vi are just chasing after them, so they couldn't go for the defense. Vader Strike trying to help out Ling, but it's not gonna be enough.
This is the 101 of war. When you are fighting in the front lines, you must understand what your supply lines are, the logistics to get there. And right now, Na'Vi have attacked them in so many different areas. GXP, you can tell the tunnel vision, the peripherals is getting darker and darker. They have to wake up, take a moment, just
Aparte de
We're
la,
so
en la
used to them
obscurita,
being
en todas,
really
digamos.
synced up in terms of
En la
especially
obscurita ya si quieres estar,
prioritization,
también
the
estoy
targets
allá
that
con
they
los
go
chicos.
for, and how they're always almost on the same page, but we're not seeing that from GXP at
Prácticamente
this point. It's more
estamos en
so
todas.
from
Ush,
Na'Vi,
solo
and
que
they
verdad
find
no.
another kill. Sophia knock up from the Minoan Fury together with the Throne of Ruin, but the relevant members are just getting away. It's not Ayanami traded out, but Fa goes down too. It's a double for Rian, and she's just 7-1-2.
It's so frustrating.
Ahorita ya
because
hay
the
literalmente
combo
control
is
del mapa.
good. It's a
Entonces, si
perfect
no
Minoan
empieza
Fury
Galaxy
into
a
the
tratar
Throne
de
of Ruin
zafarse,
that had to
va a
commit a
estar
flicker from
complicado.
Ling. They just didn't have enough AoE to burst down the members after the combo. Winnie can only hit so many targets at once. And luckily from the front lines of Na'Vi, they have enough armor to tank the explosive crossbows.
It's all their base turrets exposed, just with that single Lord Siege, which Na'Vi barely had to
Quiero ver
work
quiénes
with
son
because
nuestros.
they just let it walk through the top lane, and every single lane too just pushed forward just because GXP kept forcing the fight.
Yeah, I mean, majority of the... Oh, hold on, the Divine Judgment is good. Rihanna's already blown them up. So Throne Ruin tries their best backline. In trouble, Sophia finds one. She gets
Nadie tiene
another.
dos
And now the
victorias.
chase. Ray needs to win this
Que si
against
gana
Win.
esta,
Purify
ya
being
pasa a la
used. The heavy
siguiente
spin locks
ronda.
down Fa.
O sea, el
And
mejor
there
de
you
5.
have it.
Y luego
Na'Vi
viene
say
ya
no.
Vitality
You took 2 of our
contra
members. We
Helltech
take
Salvador.
3.
And GXP just wanted
Y
to
de ahí
repeat
hasta
the
mañana
exact
igual.
same
Pero se fueron
thing. It
rápido
was
las partidas,
probably
¿eh?
not the exact same sequence in the sense that Lema actually got to cast the Minoan Fury, but it was follow-up from Ling that eventually, in hopes of them converting it into a successful team fight, but Navi were just a bit too prepared for that. They knew who they wanted to target, and they just kept pushing forward. Now, it's a massive loss as GXP had to let go of the Lord.
Nothing much that they can really do about that. Again,
¿No
there's
está
a certain
encendido, en
level
serio?
of protocols that need to be put
Sí,
in
nena.
place, but you can tell that GXP are
A
not
ver, déjame
100% sure what that
intentar
roadmap
otra vez.
actually looks like. They've got some really good ideas, but sometimes when do you actually want to find those initiations?
Qué bueno que me
Before they
dices.
tried to initiate after Sophia was caught, they were thinking about, hey, if they get a little bit
A ver
closer,
si
we can
ya.
make something happen, and all of a sudden the Flicker Divine Judgment was the real play. So I think that GXP right now, they're trying to set the priority order. Do we worry
Ya
about this
está otra
Divine
vez.
Judgment? Can we get Sophia in a better position so that Winnie can follow up immediately after?
Hopefully they figured out not to wait. Because we've been questioning the priority
asusto.
order for the longest time in this entire game. Who does GXP really want to go for first? What is the game plan, considering that they're mostly revolving around Winnie and Sophia, but Navi, even if they decide to go for their front lines and not these damage dealers, are actually making it
estamos.
work. Now they have an
Ya estaba
entire
porque
Lord
ya
with
habían
no
entrado gente,
energy or
entonces
holy
quién sabe qué
shields
pasó.
left up top. They're
Mira,
on the
buenos
verge
días,
of losing
¿cómo
so
están?
much more.
Yeah, with the suppression as well, it's just really difficult for Lima especially.
Oh, that was a flicker in, but Mirai does get cancelled though. Does have the immortality, is gonna be okay. Feathered airstrike as well as Limino and Fury trying to defend as much as they can. Keishi,
Esta es
defensive
la
heavy spin.
tercera
But
partida de Navi. Si Navi gana
finds
esta,
a
ya
double.
gana y pasa
Navi
para
have
mañana
to
la
run away
final.
wings by wings towards not
Porque ya
Ayanavi,
lleva,
and they
serían 3 de
go
5.
back right in. Do they really
Yo
want to
tengo
fight
esperanza
this
que Galaxy lo
Ayanavi?
remonte, la
Actually
verdad.
finds a V.
No way!
Tengo un
No way!
chingo de
Winnie
frío.
ended up
Tengo esta
killing
mi
her own
mantita acá, mira.
teammate because of that. They
En
could have
serio,
just
estoy
stopped
tapada hasta la
autoing.
conciencia. Ay.
But they were just so desperate to make it work. Literally anything would have been good there. Oh man, not Ayanami. Despite having a horrendous early game, now it's like, this is my revenge. You've hurt me enough.
Yeah, I was worried when she went back in too, but the fact that GXP, I feel like they
Buenos días,
just
Kitty Bella.
panicked and clicked their buttons and unfortunately cost their teammates' lives there. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. GXP definitely have to somehow reset and get back in this game. They were slowly finding their way around things, but it's Navi all over again, all across the map.
Yeah, Navi has adapted a lot better to what GXP has been laying on the table in terms of their tactical
Vamos a ver qué
plans and
tal les va
strategies. And
ahora
I
en
think that
este
Navi,
día.
just a little bit more
Les digo,
clutch
si
factor
Navi
within
ya
them.
gana esta, ya
I
pasa a
think
la
it's the
final mañana.
awareness, right? The
Y mañana van a
awareness
jugar
overall about
la
not
llave
only
de
the battle
Logos
situation,
y
but
la
what's
llave
happening
de
across the
Oper,
map. It
las dos
just feels like
finales.
Navi is
Entonces,
just
la primera
slightly
final
more
va a ser de
efficient
O5 y la
and more
final principal
flexible in those
van a
moments.
ser de
GXP,
O7.
it's got to be step
Entonces
1,
va a
step 2,
estar
step
bueno.
3, step 4.
Uf,
And
mañana va a
they've been
estar
changing
brutal
the
el
order
día.
up, but it
Pero,
still feels a
como
little
ya son los
clunky.
equipos profesionales,
What
juegan
could
muy
be the best
rápido.
order at this point?
Juegan
You would
muy
really
rápido.
expect it's just either Lema or Ling. Does someone have to be left behind
No
to
es
at
como que
least some
jueguen pasivo.
sort of be some sort
Entonces
of
va a estar
protect for
brutal.
Winnie and Sophia? They do have the flickers and the purifies for themselves, but it just seems that as long as Navi get that one pick off done, then there's nothing stopping them at all.
I think step number 1 is to control the hit. Oh, wait,
Katy, ¿no
actually,
sabes si los
Divine
equipos de
Is that
América
one
se
pick
llevan
off?
algún
Is that
premio
the
o
pick
algo?
off? Ling tries to stop them from getting that pick off, but despite that, the heavy spin still gets committed, and GXP find one! They somehow find Rain! Navi, do they want to push through? They've lost one of their main damage sources.
That is so unfortunate. It takes 2 people to engage upon 3 in the back lines of Navi, but it just takes not Ayanami to keep both Sophia and Winnie away, and still able to find that kill onto Sophia's side. Like,
¿Se cortó o sigue?
if
Sigue,
not
¿verdad?
Ayanami, people were like, oh, she's going back to her old ways. No, she is a completely different player.
Yeah, look at how she's playing the glue.
Ridiculous.
Redeeming herself after that early game. I mean, look at her. I mean, she's not really resetting. Another Divine Judgment onto Lema. There goes the burst from Rian as well. Do they really want to risk this? Okay, they actually find one. It's going to be Fa. They're pushing her out of this Lord pit. And that's enough to secure the objective, but it's in exchange of not Ayanami.
And that's totally fine. Look at the timers. Look at the
Porque
timers. The
creo
wave
que
is
es hasta
going to
octavo
spawn.
puesto, ¿no? Algo
If they
así.
waited a
Entonces
little
ellos
bit longer, it
llegaron
would
a
have been nice
octavos.
after the 12 minutes, but
Creo
since
que
then,
estaban en
even so,
octavos
not
y ya
Ayanami Navi's
lugar.
got everything they've wanted. Lima
Entonces, no
doesn't
estoy
have
segura.
doesn't have the flicker. Ling still doesn't have the flicker as well. And by the time the Lord actually makes it down into the base, she's still not going to have the flicker.
Yeah, I feel like GXP wanted to go for something there, but they saw Mirai and were like,
Nah,
no.
it's good.
no. And we have a Lord. I'm glad they actually realized that they might have to pull back a bit because they have to deal with a Lord and Navi are approaching their base.
At this point, I might as well just stare at Mirai the entire time because, again, her flickers with the Divine Judgments have been
O $1000.
immaculate.
No sé hasta qué
They
posición
get to
sea.
clear with the they
Hola
get to
Ángel,
clear
¿cómo
the
estás?
Lord.
Buenos días. No
Navi
sé hasta
are
qué
not really
posición sea,
going
pero yo
to
sé que sí
make
sería.
use
Bueno, o
of
sea,
it just yet.
dentro
They
creo que está
also
ahí.
have to wait for
Porque
not
Navi está, a
Ayanami, I
pesar de
feel,
que
if they
de
really
este, creo
want
que
to
también
risk
hay una
a
distribución hasta
5-on-5
octavo puesto,
engage.
doceavo
So
puesto,
GXP are
algo
taking
así.
advantage
Entonces
of
no sé
this.
si acá
And at least
aplica igual
after 18
las
minutes are
reglas, o sea, en
still
la
in the
distribución de
game.
premio, porque creo
Would
que
you
son
say, I would say
150,000,
that
¿no?
Navi understands their,
O no sé si
understands their
este tiene
composition,
otro
but they're
premio
also giving
aparte,
a lot of respect
porque
to
el otro
GXP.
creo que es el general,
despite everything that has happened
el
in
mixto
this game,
o
GXP
masculino.
was going even
No sé
with
si el
Navi,
femenino
despite the
entra
score
dentro de
leaning
ese
into
o es otro
Navi's
premio
side
adicional.
for at least 8 to 9 minutes. Now here in the late game, despite having an advantage with that long lane already wide and exposed, Navi still ain't pressing in the matter.
Yeah, the combos you get to see from both the Farsa and Irithel, I feel like we already saw a glimpse of what it could bring to the table when they immediately bursted down Rain. Because Rain typically on the Lilia has been always very aggressive. She's been showing up on the front lines, a lot of help towards not Ayanami.
La
But
Rona está
during
súper
that
genial.
moment, I think she also didn't expect to get bursted down as quickly. So they might want to pay attention to that because that'll definitely change the way they approach their team fights for even just a bit if they don't want GXP to find an opening.
Yeah, let's quickly look at the items here so far. The Malefic Gun is already done, but I'm looking at the tanks specifically because I'm already seeing that they made sure that they have the right items. A decent amount of armor, but just enough magic damage to start burning
Me
down
gusta
the
cómo se ve esa
squishy,
foto.
which is probably why Ayanami isn't dying as quickly in comparison to Ling having to deal with the true damage of carry.
Oh, but this could be a problem too. Immortality pickup for Winnie already. Just letting go of the boots and understanding that she definitely has to be the one to survive in these fights. I think Sophia's also
Esta se la voy a cerrar.
building a winter crown very, very soon, so they'll have more tools to survive if ever
Esta la
Navi
voy a
does go
dejar.
for another surprise Divine Judgment
Ahí
play, which puts
estamos.
a lot of responsibility on Mirai. She has to be very particular. I know she has been, but even more so now when it comes to who she uses the Divine Judgment on.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So far, Mirai not only needs to use it defensively, but more importantly, have to be very proactive on the map. Because you already have the fleeting time, you might as well just let it rip when you have the chance. But if that window, and you don't have that follow-up, isn't good enough, GXP, again, might even up
sé
the
cómo
score
tomar la
18
foto.
18.
Yeah, the punish
no
is
sé qué
very
hago.
much possible
They gotta
for
walk up.
GXP with just a single mistake, but Navi are forcing the Lord.
Oh!
There goes the heavy spin, and they could not react. Not Ayanami finding one. Does Navi still fight? This is a no. They flicker out. They want to
Ahí
run away.
estamos.
The Throne of Ruin captures one though, and it's gonna be Mirai, but Lima
Al profe
finds
Paul.
more. The knockups on multiple
Déjale.
members, but the flicker, the reposition from Mirai. She's actually still alive.
La distribución de premio. Ajá, yo decía algo les tiene que tocar, o sea, Giannis Scott, 15,000 para cada uno.
Sophia had to fly away because they're already losing out on
O
so
15,000 entre los
much.
cuatro.
Fa and Lema are down the front lines. It's just Ling who
Que
could serve
sería
as that
Gen
front right
Esport y
now.
sería
Unbelievable peel coming up from Navi's
Los,
side. They've
¿no?
created an endgame scenario. Winter Crown is already purchased, but the situation is dire. All waves collapsing at once.
Rian down to half HP.
Fíjate que-
but the
y
jump
eso,
from
y
Miami,
ahora quedó más
Winnie
abajo,
had to get
o
out
sea,
of
de
that.
Gen
Sophia
Esport,
to the flicker, but the grab! Sophia popping the immortality and the sweep coming in for
Gracias,
Navi!
chicos. Navi se lleva ya la
What a
victoria.
game.
Cha.
What an absolutely disgusting game coming out of Navi. Not only have they shaken off the rust of day number
Pero-
one,
pero-
they're coming
pero-
in here saying, no, you better remember
¿Te
the
diste
name.
cuenta
It's going to be
que-
at the grand finals.
¿Te diste
They
cuenta
find their way
que...
back
O sea, pero lo que
to
no
the
sé es
grand
si son 15,000
finals.
para cada uno o si son
Unbelievable
15 a
runs.
distribuir en ese bloque de 4.
Not being able
sea,
to meet
es un
expectations,
platanal.
especially
O
when
sea,
they first started
si
out here in
dividen los 15,
MWI, but look at where they are now.
And you watch
calculadora.
their entire history, from their inception to their success to missing out an entire year to be
Entre
back
cuatro les
here in
toca-
2026 to redeem
Les
the
toca
names. This is going to be an impressive storyline, but let's quickly
3,550
look
a
at this
cada
replay.
equipo.
As these fights go on, desperation got
Entre
hold of
que son
GXP.
7,
They saw they lost the
5
Lord, they
jugadoras y,
needed something back
entrenador y
desperately.
manager,
And that's
vamos
a
a
great
ponerle
mentality
7,
to have. But at high level play, you gotta
$535,
count your
sin
losses, and you
mencionar
can
todo lo
tell
demás.
it's devastating, but at the same time, hey,
Son
you know,
10,
there's always
sí,
another
no, pero de
year.
todas formas,
This
es
has
un
been a
platanal.
great
Es un
showing
platanal
from
de dinero.
GXP. Let's throw it over to our interview up on the stage.
Achicha mucho dinero.
Hatias, congratulations.
Sin mencionar que
Right here
todavía
to
también
Navi
tienes
Philippines.
el,
It
o sea, el
clocked
viaje y
in their
todo eso.
ticket to the
Los
grand
que salieron 10,
finals
son 10,
in an
15
incredibly
y ya lo
convincing
demás.
3-0 sweep. Congratulations once again. Now, for
Ahí
you
la
guys to reach
distribución
here,
puede ser el
definitely
bloque.
it has been successful thus far after the decider bracket, but you know what are certain struggles that you guys faced?
I think
Bueno, es que para ellos
the-
es tarde.
the
Puede ser
first
que incómodo estar a esta
we
hora ya
play
con
in this
vestido y eso.
stage
Ala.
it's kind of shaky, but yeah, we made it here.
You guys made it here even though it was a little shaky. So yes, now you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. We would like to invite Galaxy Phoenix to please pass your tournament key over to Navi Philippines.
Ah,
Galaxy Phoenix, you did Cambodia proud, but your journey ends here still with the best finish for Cambodia. Well done. Your journey ends. Thank you.
tenía también que hacer la
wait, I still have tons
reverencia.
of questions. I know you're excited because Galaxy Phoenix, they were the ones that put you in this predicament, in this ordeal. They sent you down to the brackets to crawl out, and right now you're here in the grand finals. You know, what were the adjustments made that you guys did to face them today, the exact same foes?
I think we just play confidently. That's all.
You just play it confidently, and now that you have their keys here in the hand, the very ones that defeated you in group stages, what do you have to say? How do you feel?
I'm so happy because it's my dream to play here in stage now, and also I'm so proud to my team because we made this so far.
And the Philippines is really proud of you as well. And final question, can we, you know, the fans of Navi Philippines and the fans who are watching you guys back home, can you tell them confidently that this is Navi PH in its competition from the championship form?
Guys, please support us tomorrow because we're gonna claim the championship.
Let's see if history will repeat itself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Navi Philippines going to the grand finals. Take
Pero
your walk
finalistas al número
of
1.
victory.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Navi officially in grand finals. Congratulations. Go ahead and drop that key in there. This is a moment in history for Navi. Congrats. She said thank you. She's hyped up. I can feel the aura. I can feel the aura coming off you right now with good reason. Team Navi officially about to go ahead and crush that key. But yeah, let's make sure make sure that we safe. I will make sure that you protect it from this huge explosion. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. They fought valiantly, but oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team Navi getting it done. Congratulations again for qualifying for the finals right
Quiero
here
jugar
at
ahora.
MWI. Will they be able to
Quiero
punch their
ser
ticket?
jugadora.
And more importantly, for the time
Necesito
being, who will end up
ser
being their opponent?
jugadora.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and send things over to our highlights before we get to our next match.
Necesito jugar. Necesito convertirme en jugadora profesional. Es que te compartí el link porque de ahí lo voy a compartir. Espera. Pero está potente eso, ¿eh?
Choose from thousands of realistic
Ay,
voices.
Dios, tengo que silenciar eso porque si no me va a salir la alerta de... Se ha silenciado
And the
tu...
first semifinals has concluded. Navi gets a clean sweep 3-0 over Galaxy Phoenix. A
Sí, ahí la
tremendous
distribución puede
win.
ser. No, sí,
They
ya viendo
will
lo que es cada uno y
officially
les juro que
be
me dan
in
ganas de
grand
hacer.
finals. A big moment, not only for the org, but also for this roster.
Yeah, congratulations to them. It's been a long climb back. Now they have a chance to reclaim the crown, especially for the three players that were part of the roster in 2024 that won it then.
Dude, I mean, I think we could all just call it here. We assumed the right things as well. We got the analysis right. Game 1, 2, we got it. But even in Game 3, where they went for the overcomplicated drafts that we were criticizing from Galaxy Phoenix in Game number 1, Game number 2, they still were able to make it work. Fantastic performance from the Na'Vi girls.
Let's take a look at our first action of the game number 3.
No, no
and
solo
it is
eso,
going to
o
be on
sea,
the
hay un
right-hand
montón de
side
cosas que
here.
yo digo,
We got a lot going on. What's happening?
Yeah, this was the little
Qué
trade that
fastidio.
Miracle pointed out to me and made me fully realize, yeah, in terms of the
O sea,
fundamentals,
son un
it's
montón de
Navi. How
cosas,
they
la
were
verdad.
able to drag this
De
out,
parte
the
de
push and pull. It
organizaciones,
looked really
equipos,
good for Galaxy
jugadores.
Phoenix, but then this is
Se
where the
pone
veterancy comes in
horrible
and
eso.
just the raw fundamentals. The fact that they were able to come back into this, Rain and Rian being able to work together to get Winnie down.
That's why for me, I'm just not a fan whenever Galaxy Phoenix tries to go for these kind of compositions, you know, to build the lead from the start of the game, just getting those neutral objectives and relying on discipline to end the game. They're a team that needs to rely on that chaos, on that team fighting.
Miracle, let's go to yet another moment. Now we're towards the tail end of game number 3. The Lord is about to be slain, and they are looking to push up to take over the base.
And I think this just shows you
Buenos
again
días,
that
Ángel,
chaotic
¿cómo
nature
estás?
that Jetski
Les
wants
debo
to play
un
with.
suerte de saludos por este terminado. Yo pensé que no terminaba tan cansada, pero sí, les prometo que lo voy a hacer. Hoy tengo el día más libre y aparte seguir trabajando eso. Hoy tengo el día más libre por ser viernes. Hoy lo hago.
These targets instead of zoning people in the back gave Na'Vi so much more of an opportunity to get away, to kite back, as Redmar mentioned, the back and forth. It's just classic Filipino team fighting though, right?
Yeah. What Mirai did there was just an ankle breaker of epic proportions. The fact that she not only ankle broke Fa, who was trying to chase her, but technically it ankle broke the entirety of GXP because they got tilted trying to chase her.
Those are 10 ankles.
It's hard not to be tilted, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And for our commentators, hey, we were watching you. Let's see what they were getting into during those tense moments.
Los mejores momentos.
Oh, that was a flicker in, but Mirai does get cancelled though. Does have the immortality, is gonna be okay. Feathered airstrike as well as Limino and Fury trying to defend as much as they can. Teishi, defensive heavy spin, but Winnie finds a double. Navi have to run away wings by wings towards not Ayanami, and they go back right in. Do they really want to fight this? Not
Más, ¿qué
Ayanami.
dice?
Actually
Montreux.
finds a
No, no solo eso, no es tanto eso, es como muchas cositas de la gente luego también bien raras. Bien raritas, ya sabes que son, entonces... Eso.
Oh man, not Ayanami. Despite having a horrendous early game, now it's like, this is my revenge. You've hurt me enough.
Yeah, I was worried when she went back in
Sí,
too, but the
foto,
fact that
que no se
GXP, I
buenas.
feel like they just panicked and clicked
Me
their
choca este
buttons
formato,
and
que no sé cómo
unfortunately
cambiar.
cost their teammates' lives there.
At first, I thought Gideon was a little bit too still until he exploded. It's always great to see Brigitte as well, because I'm used to having her up here for the analyst desk where she's poised, you know, nice and calm. Up there, she's exploding with energy.
Yeah, and that was an explosive play. I mean, what Ayanami did there when you're up against a team that loves the team fight, Glue is the perfect tempo
Idioma, me
breaker
tengo que mover
hero.
porque si no esta
And the
cosa
fact that
dice
she
que
got away
me
with
quedé
it too,
dormida
that
y yo
felt
no
criminal. It was beautiful to watch.
Well, two
Vamos
great
a ver.
organizations are still in the tournaments, Navi and Vitality, which means the club championship race is now starting to heat up. And we've got Treb to break it down.
Behind me is 3 years worth of history. EWC 26 is looking for the best esports organizations, and with the club championships and 2 years worth of history, it seems we may have found some of the best. Here with me, let me introduce you from Gen G. This is Ashley. It's great to have you here, but I gotta ask you, this is the 3rd year of the club championships. I mean, how's it?
Esa chica
does it
está bien
change the
linda,
way you're
está
gonna be
súper bonita.
representing your organization, or is there no pressure at all?
Well, as you guys know, this is my first time representing Gen G, which is a huge opportunity for me because Gen G was one of my top dream organizations to join, and to be able to represent my home country, America, as well as my root origins, Korea, it means the world to me.
Well, I mean, I would love to leave it off at just that, but we also brought in the one and only from Team Vitality, the mother of tanks, Vivian. Vivian, this year's MWI is taking place here in Paris. Does that make this tournament feel just a
No, pero
little
recuerda
bit
que
more
eso es
special?
otro continente y es lo que yo mira tiene, o sea, su forma es como con mucho pómulo en ese sentido. Mira, ella también. O sea, solo que el otro se le ve más porque tiene es como un poquito más grande, pero en realidad si te das cuenta las dos tienen mucho pómulo.
Vivian, do you have any final words before we end this interview?
Keep dreaming, Ashley.
Pero creo que es el tipo de...
Are you still in your dream? Come to my dream! Come to my dream!
And there you have it. Vivian and as well as Ashley, two
Son bien bonitas, hasta parecen modelos.
MWI representing both organizations, all for the club championship.
Toma una foto de ahí en la partida. En los tiempos de espera deberían poner una. Dejen cambiar eso porque se nos va a saltar alerta. Listo. Que ayer me dijo, tu comercial está no sé qué, y yo así de, a su madre. Ya tengo, gracias.
MWI is special for a number of reasons, and I can't think of a better way to break it all down. There was such a
Se lo voy a poner
special...
tantito aquí, ahorita les regreso. Necesito que se vea la partida. Una partida. H. Ahorita le adelanto, pero es que para mi fotito no se ve bonito.
And anticipate that rotation and switch from Rian as well as not Ayanami. What better way to set up for this upcoming objective? But Keishi as well will be nearby.
Oh, the Purifies are already out.
Vamos para acá. Todo está adelante.
Looking ahead, we are definitely looking to see how can we make like a better inclusion ecosystem. And MWI has always positioned as a very unique product as part of the
Tus
Esports World
corazones.
Cup.
Qué horrible que te,
fact,
que te salga un perrito y que tengas la cámara aquí pegada. Qué horror. Qué trauma.
And also for MWC, so can't wait to see how we can further expand the product.
Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, so what has made MWI 2026 so special to you? Because I've had a blast watching the best ladies MLBB has to offer join that very stage. The energy is incredible. So from your perspective, what are the biggest highlights of this year?
Yeah, I would say definitely like what we are setting up right now for the storyline telling is very good for this year. We have Navi, like the first edition of MWI Esports World Cup. They were the champion, and then make it again to the finals as a setup for the storyline. And now we are having a lineup of Vitality
y
having a next match.
Cyber.
They can make it. I think
nombres
that would
bien
be a
raros.
very good storyline, having
No
the
me
two
gusta, me gusta
champions
más
to face again at the World
Navi
Championship.
sí, pero gente que es así como que
And on top of that, I
Heltec,
think
Cyber
moving to Paris
Team,
also give it a special
Team
meaning.
Vitality,
We have
Galaxy
Vitality,
Phoenix,
French,
Natus Vincer,
Esport Club, and
Team
also
Ray
have
Jong.
the super fans here
No lo
cheering
sé.
for the teams. I think that also add on like additional meanings so that in this city of love.
That's so true. You mentioned the two traditional powerhouses that we have. Navi from the Philippines, Team Vitality, of course, here from France, here on the home court. But we've also seen emerging new regions challenge these powerhouses. You had teams like Galaxy Phoenix make it this far, Geltec, Saita all make it this far. How important is it for the future of women's MLBB that you see these new challengers?
Yo quiero
Yeah,
¿Ves?
I think we
Regalazos ya.
continue to, like I mentioned,
Todavía faltan 2
inclusion
semanas
is
de
some
la
of the
otra
unique
ronda.
position of the product. We want more regions to be part of the ecosystem, to be involved, to be in the tournament. So that's why we are having like Western Europe a slot this year, to having them to have teams to compete at our MWI, a very unique product. And moving toward to that, we are already seeing some teams you mentioned from China, from EECA, and also from MENA. They make it all the way from group stage and knockout stage. And if you look at all the teams' competitiveness level, is getting closer to closer from each other team. Even though it's like a 3-0 from the last match, like Philippines versus Cambodia team, I think it's still very close in terms of competitiveness. So this is the scene that we see how it grows from the beginning of the women initiative we started like
Yo
5
quiero
years
entrar a un
ago
equipo.
until now.
Katy, ¿me
We see
adoptas
a
en tu
lot
equipo?
more teams coming in. I think it also
Femenino,
ignites the
pero
dreams
sin
of
la pelea.
our
No me gustan los
player
teams que
base
pelean y
that
que
they
discuten
are
y
female.
cosas así. No me gusta.
They have staged for them.
Voy a empezar a desayunar porque me da hambre.
Ray, you clearly, this product is
La que
special
viene
to
está
you,
buena, sí,
obviously, for
confirmo.
MWI, and I really appreciate you coming up here. I just want to hand the mic to you one more time so you can just say what you would like to say to the MWI community, MLBB as a whole.
Yeah, I think to wrap up, I do like to thank all our community continued support to our ecosystem that we are building. Building an ecosystem, especially women ecosystem, is not easy. Like we have to be very dedicated, and together with the Esport Foundation, we are looking at this for long term. So we are very looking forward to the futures for MLBB women.
Well, so am I, Ray. It's been a
Dile a
pleasure
tu
having
tanque
you
que
on the
me
best. It's been a
entrene.
pleasure being here in general.
Yo
And
quiero
we've got
hacer
a
recorrer,
monster of a
porque
matchup
recorrer es lo que más
about
falta en
to
el
take
competitivo.
place, and it's going to be Vitality going on that stage. And we had a chance to catch up with them before
Quiero
the
que sea mi
matchup
mejor
begins.
amigo. Ay, mi galletita.
Hey guys, as we enter the second semi-finals match of the day, Galtech Cyber Team and Team Vitality is now in the arena. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Now, a lot of people are very happy to see Galtech Cyber Team
¿Saben
in
de
the
dónde
top
son
4.
ellas?
How are you feeling about that?
We feel excited and very excited, I know.
How do you feel about going up against Team Vitality? Do you feel any pressure?
I think, yeah, because we're champions.
But are we confident? I'll see you later. Good luck on that match. And you know what? Over here, I think Team Vitality is still on the bus. So
Eso iba a
maybe
decir,
we
se
can
les
go
ve.
and see if they're coming down right about now.
Son
Let's
amarillas.
take a look, guys. Let's take a look.
Sí, son rusas.
All right, perfect. Team Vitality is now getting off the bus.
Pero
and
qué
I
feo que
think
vayan
we should
llegando
definitely
apenas,
talk
¿no? O
to
sea,
our defending champions
tendrían ya que
as they
estar ahí.
entered their semifinals match today. Fumi Echo, you know what? I haven't talked to you today. You're walking too fast for me. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Are you excited for today?
Yeah, I'm excited because I meet Kyoai.
Kyoe is so pretty, but so are you. Fumieko, I just gotta ask, are you confident that you can actually win
Esa sí
against
se ve que es
Galtech
creadora de
Cyber Team
contenido
and
o
defend
cosplayer
your
o
championship
de
tomorrow?
otra cosa,
I'm
pero
very
sí se ve.
confident today.
Aw, good luck. I'll see you later. Bye. Guys, she is so cute. Thank you very much. That's it from us. Throwing it back to you guys.
Pescándolas nada más a la fuerza. Pero qué feo que si vayan llegando hasta ahorita, ¿eh? Es waifu, sí, se ve. Es Es que se nota mucho. Pero parece más que eligen modelos y cosas así que jugadoras.
So awesome seeing the players arrive on site. They always have a smile on their face, but they're vicious competitors, and these two competitors.
If your workflow looks like 12
Oye, espérense, déjenme mutear, déjenme mutear.
Vitality
Porque si
or
no me
Galtech
salta
Cyber
acá
Team,
la cosa esta
both
de que... Ay, no sé
undefeated.
nada, porque dice, yo no sé
Team
qué hablar, bla, 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 bla.
Vitality, my goodness. I thought they'd go on a completely perfect run, but they still ended up dropping that one game to Team Falcons ID. But I never really felt like, as a
Vitality.
Vitality fanboy myself,
Esa
that
va a
there's any
estar
cause
buena.
to worry. Like, I would
Vitality y
Cut
Helltech.
from the same cloth, me and Mirko, but Celtic also have
Mañana
been
empezamos
quite
a las
impressive, and
4
I'm
de la
very
mañana.
happy for
Hoy
them
me quedé
that they
mi
made
vida.
it this far.
Yo me confié
Celtic
y yo
Cyber
dije,
team,
bueno,
they're
me
very
levanto a
impressive,
las
you know,
4 y
again
media
with these
cuando vi que eran
assassins, with
las
these
5.
unorthodox picks. Heck, the Hanabi showed up, the
Entonces,
Aulas as
mañana
well, and
empiezas
the
a las
fact that
4
they
y
made
media y
it
se
work
supone que
is
termina
even
a
more
las 8 y
impressive. So we'll
media.
see if that chaotic nature in the drafts can hurt Vitality.
Sus
Well, the
11 de la mañana de
CIO of
allá.
Team Vitality, Danny Ingles, had a
8.
chance to catch up with Trev.
11.
Trev, let's hear what
3
you have to
horas de
say.
diferencia. Ah, no, pero es un día y 3 horas de diferencia. Poco que marca que sería. Ah, no, sí, sábado.
Danny Engels, the Chief International
4.
Officer of Team Vitality.
7. Ah, no, pero son
Obviously,
sus
welcome
4.
to
Son
the Esports World
8.
Cup in general.
4 nuestras. 4, 5,
I just want to
6,
ask
7,
firstly
8,
about what your
9, 10,
strategy was when it
11,
came
7
to
horas de
stage 4,
diferencia.
the Allianz Vault, with heavy investment in fighting games, and obviously you're the favorites in MWI at the moment.
La MS.
Yeah, correct. It was
Fíjate
good
que
to us
no,
that on this
yo
stage,
siempre
we
pido
can
los
turn into the
permisos.
Vitality
Es que
stage,
es muy chistoso
with
porque miren,
obviously the favorites in Mobile Legends Bang Bang
lo que
Women.
es
So I hope that we hoist
los
at
torneos
least
directos
one
de
trophy,
Mountain siempre
maybe
pido los
more, because
permisos,
I'm
pero
excited
no me
about the
los
fighting
dan.
games, of course.
Pero este
We
como
had a
los
fantastic
de
story
la
with the Creek Twins last
EWC
week,
y
already.
cosas así
Even
que
though it didn't
son
work out to raise the
de
trophy,
otras
it was still amazing,
organizaciones,
and we have like
si
TFT
uno tú
coming,
pides los permisos,
heavy favorite
pasas
in
a revisar
Trackmania
y
as well,
cosas
which
así
really super,
y te los
super
autorizan.
exciting. So looking forward to
Entonces,
really
si
own
me
that
dejan,
stage.
luego lo hago, pero no creo
Obviously,
que
in
me
the
den
past couple of years,
permisos.
you haven't had the result you wanted.
Nunca
Not a
me han
bad
dado
result by
permiso
any
todos
means,
estos
but you
años.
want to come out on top
O
against
sea,
Falcons this year. What was your game plan
6 años,
for the
nunca me han dado
Esports
permiso
World
de
Cup as a whole
restream
to
nada.
take them down?
No, no, no.
Yeah, obviously we also are fighting against the liquids and all gamers, right? So we gotta beat them all, and for that we heavily invested into new games, new teams. We have managed to qualify a total of 18 teams, which is so much more than last year. So really investing more in order to hopefully get enough points to beat the Falcons. I keep saying it's going to be a big challenge, but we all have to win a trophy first, right? And I hope we can make it happen at MLBB Women. I don't know where the Falcons can actually make it happen, right? So that will be very exciting and a lot of pressure on them as well.
Yeah, they do seem to be struggling at the moment.
Ah, entonces sí. Ah, que son las 2 semanas que vienen estas, ¿no? Sí, esas sí puedo. Pues les digo, faltan 2 semanas, que son la siguiente semana, que son, pero es que también no le entiendo muy bien al calendario.
No, I think the pressure is definitely more on
un
them than
ejemplo.
on us, and I hope that we can keep it up like that. And as soon as we are in the comfort zone and make them more uncomfortable, I think it gets more and more exciting heading towards all the 7 weeks of EWC.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much,
Acá
Danny.
está.
Thank you. Obviously, good luck
Se supone
in the
que
Esports World Cup.
ahorita se juega. Estoy viendo el calendario del evento de estas.
Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower.
Tantito. Acá está. Es que necesitaba hacerlo grande para encontrar el calendario.
Now imagine an entire
4 de julio, 22 de julio se supone que empieza, ¿no? Los matches de apertura.
Powered by play.
Del 1 de julio, que son el round robin de los
Danny, it was
grupos.
great to hear from you, Trev. Thank you for the interview. Committing so much for the club championship trophy. They want to defeat the Falcons, who went back-to-back in the club championship race. For Vitality and Celtic Cyber Team, they now face off
Ajá, y un
against
ejemplo
each
que aquí
other.
ya está
And I gotta
puesto
ask
para
you
el
boys,
día
especially you,
22,
Mirko,
como
are you a
inicia.
fan of
El
either two of
22
the teams?
comienza
You
Team
know, I'm somewhat
Vamos
of a
versus
Vitality
Team
fan
Falcons
myself.
Mena.
It's
Team
been a long
Falcons
run. The girls look great. They're the
Filipinas
ones that
contra
always
One Show
manage
Gaming.
to break my
Luego Team
expectations in a
Vitality
good way.
contra True
The guys have
Rippers.
been less
Luego
successful, but
Team
recently,
Spirit
boom,
contra
MPL champ domestic, bringing
Igni
it on to
Gaming.
MSC. I'm excited for Vitality.
Y eso se juega a BO3 el 22.
Of course I
A
am
las
excited
también va a
for
estar muy tranquilo.
Vitality. I
6
mean,
horas.
my allegiances
6
will change
horas.
once if they ever
Y luego
do
el
go up against
23
VPH in the
se juega
grand finals. I am Filipino
todo,
first, after
todo
all.
corrido. No va a ser como en este, que va a ser grupo A, grupo B, así. No. Todo va a ser.
So much respect and
En
appreciation
el mismo
for
va a
them,
ser
their brand of MLBB,
Selangor
what
Red
they've shown, the journey that
versus
they've
Pro Esport,
undertaken,
Team
making
Liquid
it
contra
this
Aura
far,
Gaming,
KOA
Onyx contra
making it to the
Entity
semifinals yet
y
again,
Changong
leading
Galacticos
a
contra
squad with
KK
names that we're
Esport.
not so familiar with, but
Entei,
carrying
que termina, ajá, ya
attitude
termina
with
a
them,
las
a
17
courage
horas
to
y
them,
comienza a
which
las
I
11 horas de
always
ellos.
respect.
Ooh, Celtic
Y
Cyber
ya
Team
no hay
bringing
nada
it
para el
on the
24.
table. They've got intensity and they have the energy to match Team Vitality. I asked you, Mirko, are you a fan of Vitality or what?
Yes, I am. And Mr. Danny just gave me a
No,
special
siempre
gift
tenemos
just earlier.
permiso
Let's
para
see.
los
Whoa,
tres,
he
en
told
ese
me to
sentido no hay
unbox it
problema.
live, so okay.
Oh, and it's signed! Oh my goodness! Yo, that's actually dope. Oh my God! From what I'm hearing, by the way, the Vitality fans are running deep. Damascus, who do you got over there?
Taylor, the vibes are immaculate right there. I can't even know if you guys can hear me, but the Vitality fans are out there, and we need to put the maximum amount of noise. So you know what I'm gonna do? We have to do that in French. It is time to welcome the
Sí, sí
queens.
puedo.
S'il
Eso
vous
sí
plaît,
puedo.
du bruit pour Vitality.
Yo espero aguantar este mes y terminarlo vivo, la verdad, porque están... Van con hinchadas, sí, obvio.
Les champions en titre qui arrivent sur la scène et la foule qui est absolument en feu. 2-0 contre LVP, 2-0 contre Genji, 2-0 contre Navi. L'équipe qui ne peut pas perdre, l'équipe qui ne peut pas être touchée. Ce sont les reines de MLBB et elles reviennent récupérer leur trotte pour l'instant absolument intouchable. Les 5 reines qui montent sur la scène et vous savez que le bruit sera maximum. Rob, Cheryl sur la scène, on va kiffer aujourd'hui.
This has been a matchup that you guys have anticipated even before coming. Vivian has penned Kioe on the board of what she wants to see in MWI, and now wish granted. Here in the semifinals, anything you would love to say to your opponents?
Please don't make us sleep in the middle of the game.
Qué bonitas son. Yo insisto, mira, ella está súper linda.
Ready to go. And with that, thank you so much. Please head on over to your better station.
Sí, sí, ya vi.
Team Vitality is clearly ready for a battle, ladies and gentlemen. But as close as they are to their dreams, there is a team that is standing in their path and hoping to achieve their own. Please, welcome to the stage, Galtech
¿Están jugando en Rusia? No, en Francia. En París.
Galtech Cyber Team up to this
Hola,
point
qué brutales.
entirely undefeated.
Qué bonitas.
Unscathed, going up against everyone. And the Ice
Que tu
Queen
mano, no entiendo.
has returned. You can feel a shift in the energy
Con las
in
rusas,
this
sí,
arena
ajá.
just with
O sea,
her
van a jugar
presence.
contra Rusia,
We've seen
pero
their
no,
mastermind,
o sea, son rusos,
Coach
pero no están
Osprey,
jugando en Rusia.
has transformed this team into the Titan that we see today. And now, of course, we do have a quick interview. Right now,
Me
you're so
encanta su estilo.
close to achieving your dreams. But in
Chuzo,
order to finish
sí.
it off, you have to go against what a lot of people look at as the favorite to win this tournament. How much pressure are you
Qué raro
under and how
decía.
confident are you?
Насколько вы уверены? Ну, мы постараемся сделать максимальные наши возможности показать.
Se le nota en el tipo de acento cuando hablan inglés, los rusos.
We play on our maximum capacity.
Okay, and I'm sure you will. Please go ahead and have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. It is about that time.
That's right.
Tanto para
On
Cris
one
hacer una
hand,
pregunta. Qué
the
fastidio.
Queen Bees of the Hive.
Te tenía
And
un
on
chingo
the
de
other,
preguntas.
the
No.
Ice Queen herself. 2 Apex Predators are on the prowl in the jungle, but only one can emerge victorious from
Yo me
the land
pregunto,
of
¿alguna de
dawn.
ellas será mamá?
Ladies and gentlemen, we
¿Tendrán
are
novios?
about
O
to
sea, en el
find
sentido
out
de
who
cómo
is
llevan
gonna
su
take
vida
that
profesional
seat
y
in
su
the
vida
grand
personal. O sea, en ese
finals
sentido
of
de cómo la
MWI.
administran.
Let's get things
O sea,
started
no les
with
han
the semifinals.
negado. Bueno, pero también es Asia, ¿me explico?
Cheryl
No es como que les
Damascus,
vaya a decir,
Hollywood
no
Rob
puedes
TV,
jugar.
thank you for setting the stage. The competitors are out there and they're just
Yo
moments
tendría
away
tantas
from
preguntas.
competing toe to toe for
Estaría
the
así
last
sentada, así
spot in
como,
the grand finals. It's Team
cuéntame,
Vitality
cuéntame
versus
cómo
Galtech
llegaste ahí,
Cyber
cómo ha sido el
Team, and it's
proceso.
getting loud in the venue. Why? Well, because Vitality fans have shown up and they are banging on the drums. They're getting loud. They're going crazy. It's going to be a great matchup. Seriously. Again, I set the stage earlier. Both teams undefeated so far, but one must face defeat after this.
Yeah, home court advantage for Vitality. You pointed out behind the scenes that they maybe look kind of, with Galtech Cyber Team, excuse me, are looking kind of nervous. I would like to think it's their more stoic, mysterious nature that they like to show off, especially Kioe, the Ice Queen. She's called the Ice Queen for the jungle, not just because of her cold-blooded gameplay, but of course, what she does behind the scenes.
Well, I tell you what, Miracle, if he's going to bring up the Ice Queen of
Y lo que me
Kioe,
encanta es
let's
que
bring up the
en su
Hive
mayoría
Queen
todas las
of
hemos visto con
Vivo.
manicura.
You've got
O sea,
two
todas bien
queens
lindas
about
con
to
su
battle it
manicura.
out.
Absolutely. The Hive Queen Vivo has been, I mean, taking all the attention from the fans as well. I've heard some chants already from the Vitality fans in the building screaming, Vivo, Vivo, Vivo. And it's through her playing a plethora of different picks. When we've seen players just stick onto the tanks, stick onto the assassins, Vivo does both equally well, although I'm a bit more
Ajá,
biased
por
to
eso te digo, a mí me encantaría
I
saber,
like
o
the
sea, si
Assassins,
alguna de
especially
ellas,
after one
o
of
sea,
the
de las
matchups we
jugadoras
had
de
on
todos
day
los
number,
equipos que
I
están
believe it was 2
participando,
or 1.
son mamás.
So
¿Cómo regulan su
fast-paced,
tiempo?
absolutely brutal. And speaking of
Hay
brutality, this
tantas
is in fact
preguntas,
the
o sea,
boss fight
si
for
están
Geltec Cyber
casadas,
Team. In fact, for all
su
rosters, of
familia,
course, every contender
estudios,
must
trabajo,
meet Team
si solo viven de
Vitality
esto. O sea,
to
me
claim the
explico, yo
trophy.
tengo
And
tantas
fun fact,
preguntas que tengo
Vitality has yet to miss a
solo
grand final
mostrar jugar.
appearance
Es así como
in
que
MWI. They
la
are
cereza del
always
pastel,
there.
pero no
But is
muestran
this
todo el
time
pastel,
going
me
to be
explico. Es
different?
así como
Is
que
Geltec Cyber Team going
pues
to
tal vez yo
take
soy muy
them
intensa, muy
down?
pasional
Well,
en ese
obviously, it's
sentido.
up to them to decide, but it's two massive battles
Qué
about
bonita
to
su
be
playera.
underway. And again, both teams undefeated.
Chévere,
Will it be
tornado.
smiles? Will it be heartbreak? Well, again, it's based upon how they
Qué feo,
end up
o sea, bueno, no que
playing.
feo, pero no
Now,
me gusta, o
fun
sea,
fact as well,
que
both
el
teams
manager, o
also
sea, me gustaría que
eliminated
usaran los
Falcons
colores,
from
pero
this tournament. They will no
los
longer
managers,
get
los entrenadores y
more
cosas
club
así, pero no
championship
igual
points
que
than what
las
they got
chicas,
making it to
¿me
the knockout round.
explico?
That includes Falcons Mina and Falcons
Uy, mira sus
Indonesia.
anillos, que
So the
yo no puedo
history
jugar con
between the
anillos.
two
Tengo las
is
manos muy chiquitas y mi
immense.
celular no me dejaría.
Geltec Cyber Team, what they were able to show off yesterday against Team Falcons Mena, it was just strong mindset. They had a difficult game number 1. It really looked like it was going to end quickly, and it would be Team Falcons Mena in this semifinal today. But then they held strong, and they showed off why they've made it this
That's
far.
right. And Mirko, I got to ask you, man, losing a map. Now, for most teams in a series, we don't really bat an eyelash at that. We'll mention it. It is what it is. For Vitality to lose a map
Yo no
against
puedo.
Falcons Indonesia,
Porque como
it
tengo
was
los
set
dedos
on the
chiquitos,
desk. It was almost like the
me
world
estorba
turned
literalmente
upside down.
un centímetro, medio centímetro de
a
uña.
bit concerning, maybe a
Ya
lot
no me deja
concerning if
presionar
you're
bien.
looking at the track record of the team and how dominant they've been throughout MWI history.
Pues cuando las traigo
But I
largas no
think
casi no
I'm pretty
juego.
happy. I think the Vitality fans should be pretty happy as well that they got a reality check very early on in the knockout stage and they were able to recover. So I think more props to the women here because they were able to recover in such a short period of time after getting come
También
back like
depende
that.
mucho de la
Vitality
porque hay
stayed
veces que si me
strong.
las
They
pongo
went back
como de
to the
medio
drawing board
centímetro y
and
más
they
o menos
cooked
me
up
deja.
a fantastic
Pero
early
cuando se
game
me las ha
draft to
puesto de 2
close it out.
centímetros y
I was
así,
hearing rumors
nadita,
that when
nadita,
Vitality
nadita.
went back
Juego
on stage
Minecraft nada
to
más.
go into that final map against Falcons
Porque también lo
Indonesia,
tengo en el celular.
they were shaking, physically shaking.
Oh, cómo se
But
ve.
after
Amo
watching them
cómo se
beat
ve.
Falcons Indonesia, I think it was pure anger.
Yeah, we saw Vivian on her show. What more can you ask for in a backs against the wall team Vitality who are fighting for tournament life with all of the pride? She gets her most iconic pick, and she had an iconic performance. So if they were shaky behind the scenes, it definitely didn't show in game.
Nope, it was, I think, pure anger. That's what we saw. Oh, my Lord. The Cho pick was amazing, by the way. Like, the amount of times she was able to catch Zev on a Harley, it was just ridiculous. An orange buff steal at the start of the game. So for Geltec, I really hope they've studied that. I really
Ajá,
hope
yo
they
también
take it
usualmente
away
por eso
from
las traigo
Vivian.
cortas, solo las traigo largas cuando te voy a eventos o
deny
cosas
it.
así.
Maybe not
De
try to
afuera no.
overthink it. I like that, especially up against a team like Vitality. We talked about Vivol earlier, who is very flexible in the type of jungler that she'll get. My personal favorite, and it is because of a bias of mine, you know my favorite pick, the Akai. Taking it away from her, I feel like it's a great call by Geltec Cyber Team.
Vitality have really just relied on that Panda to get through a lot of these games. Heck, 3 games out of 3 just yesterday up against Falcons ID on the Panda. So I like it, but also it's kind of like the Claude for Winnie type of situation. I feel like for Vitality especially, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're going to let the Akai go, we're going to pick it up. Now that it's finally banned out, we get to see some more of those prio picks, maybe some more of the picks that were hidden by Vitality from the group stage all the way to top 8.
Yeah, let's see if Vitality has much more left in the tank. Oh, they're taking away the Hirara, of course, from KOA. We touched on the Aulus earlier in the pre-match discussion, and that should be a possibility here for Geltec. I want to see them consider their options. I want to see them get creative, maybe even bring back picks like such as the Julian. If it works out well for them, that was the pick that put Kiowa in the map 2 years ago.
For Geltec Cyber Team, though, they have something in their back pocket, and that's Coach Osprey, who has been absolutely phenomenal in leading this roster. Coach Osprey, going into this hero selection, you've already seen some of the bans. What do you think his game plan is going to be?
Well, it looks like right now Geltec are just taking away some of the most annoying picks to deal with. If you're an assassin, if you're a team that wants to play somewhat steady so that your side of the river and jungle is safe, and then you'll find your moment, go for that explosive play, and then snowball from there. All their 3 bans scream. They want to protect their river. They want to make sure they have a good XP matchup.
No tempo control, right? Like that, they want to have that. And it's equal amounts of respect from Vitality. We heard the spicy comments from Cine.
Yeah.
Don't put us to sleep with the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see here. With the Hirara banned out, it's going to be the Bakusha also taken away. Knowing again, Geltec, even when they're not on Assassins, they rely on fast tempo gameplay. So it's all about that Bakusha, all about the early rotations to get an advantage before Turtle 1.
All right, with Esmeralda gone, Paquito, Freya trade is up in the air. Fovius priority as well. I wouldn't take it away from Geltec Cyber Team also to later on show some flexibility through their mid lane pickups. There have been some teams who have picked up the Sicilian. I love MWI because a lot of my favorite picks, even though quite cheesy as they are showing up. But teams who are willing to play that risk have shown some good results. Whether or not they won the game, but they get good results in-game with high KDAs. You see the opposing team struggle with it. So we mentioned some of the power picks. Let's see if they'll go another way.
Geltec Cyber Team are taking a while for that first pick. Valentina as first pick for Geltec Cyber Team.
I did not see that coming. I think they're looking way too closely at what Cine could potentially show
Ya,
up in
perdón,
the
una
mid lane
Valentina.
with. Either like an Eve or a Farsa. This feels a little bit of like an overthink. But then at the same time, you have the Atlas, so you're trying to turn off the possibility of Vivian picking that up.
I think they're setting up for the Atlas pick themselves here. Possibly a Sora as well, trying to go for the CC combo up against Vitality. Controlling that neutral objective has been one of the main winning conditions for Vitality, so taking it away from them could be the play. Freya, though, and the Atlas, they don't care about the Valentina. They'll go straight through, brute forcing their way through a Fatal Link steal.
Oh, they checked the bluff of Geltec and they said, all right, go ahead, we don't care. We're still going to go for the Atlas, even though we're giving it to you. Still, though, that means that Geltec can have an idea of what to expect, especially from the pick of Shell later on. It will be a gold laner that would want to pick up the Purify. Got to be careful with shaking your teammate's arm there. You don't want to yank it off accidentally.
You know, I said they looked nervous coming into the venue, but after that little ordeal, I think they look just fine. They're feeling comfortable. They're in their zone. And Geltec Cyber Team is ready to take on the previous champs.
There you go. Carrying the Balaric picked up for Geltec Cyber Team. Now, this could be the opportunity for Vitality to go for the Eve again. Could be stolen by the Valentina, but I feel like they picked up the Atlas so that they can overwhelm the Valentina with as many big ultimates as possible to kind of like make it difficult.
Yeah. But now with the Beleric there, this puts a lot of pressure on XP and jungle to have the mobility.
Bueno, también o sea, me gusta de los
going to be going around the map much quicker, which plays so much to the playstyle of Vitality. Quick, fast rotations, dominate, and don't give your opponent any breathing room. While for Geltec, the first 3 picks, as good as they are for the current metagame, we've talked about Beleric, especially on Stream B, as one of the best roam picks that you could go for now. I do not see that tempo match from them just yet. They need to match the speed that Vitality are going to be going for, and that makes it even harder knowing that in the center of the map
les voy a mandar la muestra también del video que les
tons
hice.
of CC Renmar, but no one to really deal with the carry. Now that's a concern for me. Vitality have utilized the Freya to beat the carry before, but it's a different kind of Freya. Where usually we see the Flicker, we maybe will see a Vengeance, and it's technically still flex for the Freya.
Yeah. And the tough part is, if ever they're looking for more of an item-heavy carry in the jungle, let's say in the back of their heads they're thinking, hey, maybe we could put in a Yi Sun Shin for Vivo so that you can match his damage somewhat, a little bit of a mid-range option. That's the beauty of the Beleric in this current metagame. You have picks like that that could be great, but then you're always overthinking.
Ya se los mandé
what about those damn
a los dos para que lo vean.
That's going to be coming out of this tree. How do we stop that?
Phobia's ban is great here, so if they want to flex the Freya, it'll be good into the XP now.
Para que puedan ver.
Usually a lot of teams, especially before the patch drop, before the Phobius nerf, would just go straight up carry Phobius to limit the Freya instantly. Wherever you go, you're going to be into a bad lane matchup. So now for Vitality, I think they're going to have some of their prio picks banned out, mainly for Chell. Those weak side picks should be taken out, as again, they've already banned the Phobius. It really looks like they want to put the Freya in XP.
Geltec.
Unless it's set up for like an Arda pick or something,
yeah,
right?
I'm trying to get into the mindset of Geltec right now, seeing that,
yeah,
they took out the Phobius, you don't have the EXP counter, but it still wouldn't be too crazy to see a world where in that Freya still somehow ekes it into the gold.
Bueno, me gusta más ahorita los picks de Vitality. Tendría que ver cómo manejan las otras dos
evidence to that idea, so let's see. Because even if they
que
go
van a
for
sacar.
something like I don't know, Alice in the jungle, you're
Es
still
un
lacking the
escarabajo. O sea,
damage.
sí
The
yo lo
biggest
entiendo, pero
problem,
no,
even if
no
you
sé,
put
siento que
Freya into the
sacan
gold
cada
lane,
cosa,
you
los
won't
parece
have
un
that damage
gallo,
you
un
need to
pavo
take
real,
down
no
that
sé.
carry. You'll have a
Y el
lot of
nombre raro, o sea,
dive.
una cosa que nada que ver el
Maybe
nombre
that's what
con la otra
Vitality's
cosa, ¿me
thinking
explico?
Maybe we go back to that discussion we had earlier about the Hive Queen and how I personally like her on Assassins a bit more.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that too much. Only one Hirara game, and after that is mainly just the Akais. But with the Juice in, a utility mid, with the Atlas and even the Freya, I wouldn't count out the possibility of a Ling, a signature, old signature of Vivo, a Hayabusa to walk up as well as they try to get a lane bully to get carry low, a winning lane in gold.
There's no hard crowd control just yet.
Exactly.
Okay. So Geltec read the Yi Sun Shin and still want to take it away as a option. Even though they have the Belleric with them, they're still, you know what, play it safe. You mentioned the Assassins without any hard crowd control,
¿Qué hora
single
es allá?
target.
Ahorita te
A
digo.
Lancelot would be all right. Get those iframes up. You can extend team fights to the point where you're uncomfortable and they might lose their position.
2:40 de la
You
tarde.
suddenly find Tokyo wide open and that carry left alone.
Pero de
So
ellos
let's see
son,
if
es
Vitality,
el...
what's the decision gonna be? Coach Casius
Así,
thinking about it real
2:40 de
hard
la
here
tarde.
with Cine, discussing the possibility of an assassin pickup. No marksman in the jungle, but it will be the Moskov picked up first. They will indeed move the Freya into XP, and now the big question is, will Vivo finally get her hands on a damage dealer, or will it still be tank?
Me gustan
Very
los picks
basic
también de
attack
Vitality.
focus
O
are
sea,
the
ese
side
Moscow creo
lanes
que
of
contrae
Team
mucha
Vitality
compensación al
that
equipo.
I wouldn't take it away from them from still putting in something tanky in the jungle, but at the same time, damage with all that damage sounds kind of good. Maybe it's just like a little greedy nature sometimes
Sí,
in
ajá.
MLBV.
O sea, por si digo, ya
But
es
for
con ese
Geltec, I
Moscow,
think
siento que
it's
han
to
logrado
ask
contestar a la
of them for
Valentina y
more
a la
range.
Carry.
So they will just lean on the idea of them having a lot of dive. So they need a strong team fighting comp. And of course, who's stronger than the
Van
Almas
contra
of
ellas.
Kioe and Liubon's Paquito, who I told her myself personally, I'm a big fan of how she plays the Paquito.
Naulos.
Still though,
Y
against
el
the
Aulus también
Atlas,
tiene mucha
kinda
movilidad.
scary.
For sure. I mean, you
Entonces,
got to
sí,
see
el
some
daño
immunity
que pone esa
for
cosa
the
es
Aulas,
brutal.
but not for the Paquito. That's, I think, the reason why we've been seeing a lot more Atlases, right? With the utility jungle and the Paquito, it gives the Atlas so much more ways to just lock people down. But the Aulas for Geltec works in a different way. It's kind of like a third carry. You have the Paquito up top, the gold lane on a carry, and the Aulas is kind of there as a bait. We saw that bait just yesterday. It looked really bad. It looked like Kioe just face checked out of nowhere, but she was able to CC immune her way out of the skirmish, and the whole team just collapsed on everybody else who've already used the resources.
Yeah, commit too much on that Aulus, and Geltec's gonna be very happy with that.
Un
Fredrin.
Fredrin.
So they still
Buena
do
respuesta.
lean in on the tank, which
Creo que lo hizo bien.
theoretically
Buena respuesta.
does have the damage the more you hit him. So in a way, they
Aguante
sort of balance it
daño.
out, just not traditionally. They have a lot of crowd control and some great setup for the Moskov and for Freya.
Y fíjate que usualmente los días pasados estuvimos viendo mucho baneo de aguante y resistencia. Tanques, experiencias o combatientes de aguante. Y aquí fue más que nada daños y resistencia.
Team Vitality versus Geltec Cyber Team for our last spot into Grand Finals. Brigitte, Gideon, let's get it on.
Thank you so much, Reflections. We are looking for our second grand finalist, and it has to come down between these two teams so far. Geltec have fought so hard for so long, and now they face up the current defending champions in Team Vitality.
They also have stuck with their very own identity throughout this entire tournament, and not a lot of teams have found their way around that, if not really struggled up against Geltec. But if there's one thing we know, Vitality do have shown some cracks in their armor. They're more prone to the longer games, so I wonder if Geltec can afford to do the same against the quote-unquote team to beat.
Intercambios, o sea, lo normal. Pero yo pensé que estaba un buen vergadazo.
On a stream or cast that game when they decided to whip out the Aulas
Este
in
año
the
fue
first
más
place, but it's
apoyado
absolutely
la
correct. It does
transmisión que el
work
año
as a
pasado.
secondary carry with the help of the true damage.
De la EWC,
Made sure that Aulas
pero
is a
¿por
little
qué
bit
Mountain
more
se metió
auto
por eso, sí, no?
attack reliant to get his damage out.
Que eso es lo que
But that's
tendrían
where
que
the
hacer, buscar
curiosity
las
comes in, because when I'm
colaboraciones,
looking at
pero
the side of Vitality, as much as I love the
no voy a
fact
hacer
that they've
nada.
got Fatal Links, there's just so many, like, quote-unquote, micro CCs to deal with. Your CC immunity is, like, great, but there's a limit to it.
Yeah, and how could they really time these engages as well, because I feel like GCT has a very melee type of lineup who really just wants you to close in on their opponents, might just be willing to fight you directly
porque el año pasado
instead
casi
of
no
them
vi
trying
mucha
to find a
información, la verdad.
workaround
Casi no vi
let's
mucha
say, the angles or
información.
potential entries. So let's see what the timings are going to look like, because even now you're seeing how Ginny's not having the best experience in the mid lane.
Sin mencionar que la EWC este año abrió eso de lo de los creadores de contenido, las retransmisiones y todas esas cosas. Entonces también fue bueno.
GCT's perspective, you know what? Since we do get that first move, let us at least try and contest for some of these smaller camps on the side, whether for EXP Crab or even Gold Crab. Ideally EXP this time around, because they want to make sure that their junglers stay ahead of the game.
Estamos al ya 2 minutos y no hay quien, no que esté mal, pero digo, van a jugar más despacio. La salida total de la parte de bot, ya para ahí viene el primer ganqueo. Uy, lo vieron y retrocedieron bien ambos. ¿Sabe que se trae la tortuga? Pokeando nada más, tanteando. Lo bueno es de que Moscow, si Car tiene que regresar, Moscow va a poder llegar a un fregadazo en la siguiente oleada. Uy, qué buena de Paquita. La encajonó contra la pared.
Cyber team on the EXP laner.
That was a little weird. They didn't get the ult, but now they're going to look for the contest, and now the fight breaks out. City in trouble!
All alone in that moment, and the
Buena
fatal
utilidad,
made by Geltec, but Vival actually the ones who are able to secure the first objective. Can she get out of
¿Aguanta?
this?
¿Aguantará?
Won't actually make it.
Uy, llega la Freya, ahora sí, perros,
There
dice.
she goes, but Geltec might not want to commit to
Bueno,
this fight
no,
anymore.
Freya, te estás extendiendo, te estás extendiendo.
Just look at the positioning of Luban
Ya,
on this
solo era
Paquito,
defender.
right? It's really important for Paquito into the Freya matchups to not think, hey, I'm here to kill the Freya. If she makes a mistake, sure, but 90% of the time
Katy,
it looks like
adóptame
this.
con tu
You lose your
equipo.
abilities and she's beating
O
you
hagamos
down
un
the
equipo
lane.
nuevo.
Oh, Chell got to dodge that taunt coming in as well. Potentially another advantage for Geltec, because so far they've already gotten some sort of advantage in the XP lane. Gold lane 2 is looking like they're starting to put a bit more attention there.
It's a perfect amount. It's not enough to completely dominate, but to make the lane obsolete with the help of that first kill going off to Luban. Man, Festival of Blood already active. You're getting a lot more spell vamp. So no matter how bad the trade is, as long as there's a fat wave coming to your side, first item War Axe as well, there's no way they can make that happen.
And there's nothing interrupting Geltec from doing what they want to do across the map. Like, Kyoe is just able to accomplish the farming that you really would want to get in for the Olos. Vitality, on the other hand, it's more of like us expecting the more proactive approach from them this time around, but at the same time,
Están jugando muy precavidas solos porque saben que las veces van a estar brutales. Ulti de Belén, buena. Solo desgaste. Desgasta bien. Belén tendría que ir a curarse porque está muy tocada.
You're waiting for that bell to drop. And once it hits clock hits 12, they're going to start unleashing shots at each other. It's so dangerous because you can see that whoever accidentally uses their ult first is probably going to lose that fight. But even so, without the Axe Cleave, Kyoe has no clean entry to get on into these neutral objectives. And that's something that we have to keep in mind here. Kyoe has a lot of things to worry about, so they need other people. Ideally, maybe the Belleric. I would say maybe even bait with Luban on this Paquito to try and get the first motion from Vitality.
Yep, so it doesn't all come down to them being scattered by Fumi Echo, also just surprising them through the entry to the factory descent. But as it's looking right now, Conceal's already coming in for Geltec. They're on to Vival, but they decide to change targets. It's actually Vivian right now looking for one. She's trying to set up two, but the Purify is actually going to be available. But Vivian is actually just bursted down. Both with the damage coming in from Tokyo. There goes the
el equipo que trae el equipo, el de Geltec que está con ese Paquito y con el Aulus, la iba a estar muy difícil tomarlo.
Communication is starting to break down here. Paquito ended up chasing away City, but finding the kill eventually.
O sea, sacaron un Frederick, es una buena respuesta. Puedes poner esto en resistencia, pero el Atlas no lo sé. O sea, es un buen pick, pero yo hubiera preferido un Grok, ¿me explico? Porque puedes poner murallita entre con el Paquito, con el... Bueno, no sé si pueden pasar ellos, ¿no?
literally trying to go right
con
in
el
front
Aulos.
of their face,
So,
despite
entonces,
her
el
already
dividir
being shredded
el equipo
down.
de
And mind you, it's just 6 minutes into this
Celtic
game, but you already
tiene
have
mucho
to
trabajo en
see
equipo
the
junto,
amount of
entonces
damage that Belgium
separarlo
are
tal
able
vez
to
sería
do.
bueno.
These are just basic attacks we're talking about, but even Chell is struggling by just
No,
a
sí, yo
bit.
sé que está más fuerte. O sea, sé que está más fuerte, pero no les va a dar la resistencia ya ahorita con el Paquito y con el Aulos.
But even then, she's also going to be able to escape.
And finally, a moment to get that
O sea, fuera del stun que puede tener Llano o la ralentización.
Just be due to desperation or just getting a little overly excited. They have to stay in the perfect median.
Uf,
as we see
mira.
Fumieko trying her best to
A
clear
eso voy.
this wave. She was willing to put her body on the line for a tier 1.
It's like she even skipped the minions and literally went forward, but that wasn't enough to really push Geltec out of the
Torreta
turret. So
por
now they're
torreta,
able to at
prácticamente
least
jugada
get
tipo
trades up
espejo.
top, because I feel like that's also something they saw coming.
Ajá,
But
por eso
so
te digo,
far,
o sea,
Geltec,
fue
it's a
muy buen pick
surprising
Paquito
way
y
that
el
they're able
Aulus
to deal with
con el
Vitality in the
inmune,
early game.
con el daño que te puede hacer, con la ralentización. Está medio mimida, entonces está medio cabrón esa parte. Con un Paquito que entra 1 o 2 y pum, adiós. O sea, una carry que te hace focata rápido. Beleric con el rebote de daño, con la ulti. O sea, contra eso el Atlas no va a poder en una entrada, ¿me explico? O sea, sería como regalarse incluso el ultear contra un Aulus, un Paquito, un Beleric. O sea, sé que es una buena contestación, pero ya con lo otro se vuelve difícil. Uy, la aguanto. El Mosco haciendo push superior. Vitality, clarísimo. Tal vez pierden la tortuga y tal vez... Oh, es que están todos. Uy, Sushi trata de escapar. Paquito se la lleva. No. Buena, les haces la salvación. Uy, no te creo la quemadura, les salió sin vida prácticamente. Y mira, Moscow no ayudó en la parte de bot. Trae la playera al revés. No hizo push abajo, no llegó a ayudar. Mira, o sea, yo hubiera seguido haciendo push abajo, literalmente. O sea, hubiera conectado la ulti como para despejar, hubiera hecho el push y luego llegado. O ya no llego y me regreso. Pero no le encontré sentido a ese movimiento de parte de Vitality.
Their ability to kite is insane. The way that Vitality seem to always be ready for at least a potential engage, but every single time, look at Cine. Majority of the time, she has to go through the worst positionings just because of how GCT are dealing with the team fights. And they almost are the ones mirroring what GCT are doing.
Almost. Like, it's close, but not far enough. And that's where Kiroe is super dangerous, right? That Wrath of the Dryads, as much as we hate Fatal Links and how you can't really react to it, the same can sort of be said about the Wrath of the Dryads as a counter-engage tool when you're so deep in that sauce. And not everybody has anti-CC here. Vival, doesn't really matter. As long as you survive, that's great. But Zinni, in particular, with no Purify and only taking Sprint, it's a risky gamble. But at the same time, if Vitality can dodge those ults, they can chase them down like right now.
Okay, but Quedro will be very tanky to deal with. And Vitality are always forced to send someone to their sides just because of what Liubon has been doing across the map. It's a 3-0 Paquito who is just slightly ahead of her counterpart, and that's Fumieko, but the burst on Vivian!
Uf, te lo dije, mira, o sea, a eso me refiero precisamente. Yo hubiera desde el principio, bueno, yo hubiera, sí, es que al principio te entiendo que lo hayan sacado, pero ya con el paquete y eso, de saber que iban a sacar paquete, yo hubiera preferido un Grok. Esta partida se la va a llevar sin duda a Celtic.
Beautiful game so far, but this is their style. GCD, early to mid, just nasty stuff, and they're still trying their hardest to crack open this mid-tier 1. The floodgates open. As soon as mid-tier 1 opens up, the rest of this jungle becomes a lot easier to start fights against Vitality.
Yeah, Vival is definitely not going to be able
Sí,
to freely
lo va a
do what
mantener.
she
No hay nada
wants
que le rompa
anymore,
el
but I
control.
think it's
No hay nada
not
con lo
just
que
on
puedan
Vival that we
ingresar
really
y
have to pay
mantenerse.
attention to
Ese es
anymore.
el
It's
punto.
how Chell
Para
City
romper el
are
control
almost shut
que
down
tienen,
in their individual
tendrían que
lanes.
poder
Fumi
contener o
Echo,
resistir.
I
Y
think
no
there were
tienen.
some attempts here
No
and there,
tienen
but
con
even
qué.
then, not even Fumi Echo is
Entonces,
able to open
gracias
up
por
as much
compartir,
for
Vaya.
Vitality.
Entonces, está
Yeah, I
súper
already think
difícil.
that it's a mistake that
Está
City
súper
had to
difícil
take
para
this
el
sprint
equipo
this
de
time
Helper.
round, and unfortunately the laning phase did not go the way they were hoping for. But at the same time, as long as they can scale towards the later half of the game, like Chell right now really needs to get those 3 items down. The endless battle as Kyoe is in pretty strong
¿Viste el video?
shape. I
¿Vieron
don't
el
think
video?
there's a lot
Me
of people
dicen
who
qué
can
les
1v1
pareció.
her right now. I think even arguably Fumihiko, without her vengeance, will lose to Kyoe as of
Pero
this
esta
point.
partida la tiene
It's a
Heltex
killing
sin
spree
ningún
too
problema, con la mano en la
that you
cintura,
actually see
literalmente.
on the Olo, so I think the longer the fights, as long as there won't be any direct burst, which I don't think you're seeing from Vitality, Kyoe is pretty much gonna be okay. Like, she could just keep throwing out these high mobility skills and basic attacks to survive. But can she do that against 3, even with additional layers of crowd control? As of the moment, she actually is able to, even in the face of a Valkyrie descent.
All right, let's pull up the item list. Last time we checked 3 items, like, excuse me? Excuse me? That was all it took to deal with 3 members? As Vival just isn't too far behind. Wait, do they have enough to anti-heal? Wait, let me just double check this.
Sí, no,
City
está por esto
has
aquí, espera.
the glowing wand. I don't see anybody else with anti-heal at this point of time. So there's only 1 applicator of anti-heal.
Yeah, that was insane. You already used a Fatal Link. Oh, here you go. It's another Fatal Link, though, but this time on the other side, taking down City for the 4th time in a row. Vivian figuring out just to survive. There's no one stopping this Olus from Kyoe.
They're making it real tough, and now they also net themselves an inhibitor turret. Beautifully done by GCT.
Vitality are not even going to look for a fight there. At least they sent Fumi Echo up top
Tama,
to
Valentina.
somehow manage and trade, but it's not enough. It's a 7k goal lead already in favor of GCT, and Chell had to prioritize the Wind of Nature more than the damage.
I think right now the biggest issue is the fact that GCT really took advantage of the miscoordination of the mid trio specifically, right? Like, City has been taking a lot. So much so, and I would have imagined that the mid duo at least would be communicating more with each other to be able to like peel one off of the other, but they have completely separate roles in the team fights.
Yeah, and it's not the best of hero synergies either. Seeing an Atlas alongside the Juicin, but right now, Geltech are just exposing so much more of the
¡Ay, sí
weaknesses
se lo
of
terminó
Vitality and
llevando!
Tokyo.
Te lo dije, ese Atlas va a ser como una sacrificación. En el sentido de que no, o sea, incluso la ulti le va a jugar en contra de él. Ya vale, ya.
That's going to be a statement. It's going to be a
No tiene
statement
cómo
right there.
salir.
Valkyrie descent out from Fumi
No,
Echo,
ya
but
vale.
I think they are going to try and chase. Kyoe is just too quick to move with this Aulus. Quecho will be there too. Doesn't have the Wrath of Dryad, but it's
Que se tienen que enfocar en la carry, no tienen cómo llegar a la carry, no es que no llegan.
If there's one thing that Aulus is particularly good at, other than just dealing true
Carry con
damage and
Puri.
auto-attacking,
Y
it's
carry con Puri.
chasing his targets.
Ni de
And I think
broma.
most people tend to forget that. They think that he's just a traditional bruiser. No,
Ni de
he's kind of
broma.
alpha-esque, except he just sticks on you.
Yep, alongside damage too.
Alongside damage. I mean, both do. It's true damage, you know? Your stats don't matter when the bar is white, I suppose. But even so, with Lord now about to crash into their base, this base defense is it's going to look a little rough.
Yeah, a lot of their wave clear is just going to be from Chell,
Exactamente, por eso
who's
te digo. O
currently
sea, no hay
doing
cómo
a lot of
contenerlo
catching up, already
ni
prioritizing
mantenerse.
just the wind of nature just to survive, but does GCT force the fight? Quejo trying to close in, already half HP though, leaving axe coming in from Kyoe.
Yo tal vez incluso hasta hubiera sacado un Barak.
Trying to go in with the Valkyrie descent, Vival somehow still alive,
Aniquilados.
and now it's a maniac from Tokyo, but they don't care about the
Bien
Savage.
jugadísimo.
It's not about the ego, it's about closing out this game. This ain't just a simple sprint, it's a marathon. 1-0 so far as
Esto
Caltech take the very
sí.
first game from our defending champions. This is gonna be a real series.
That was a bit too clean against the defending champions, and I no longer know what to expect. After that game number 1, we got to see
Son los novios y
from
los hermanos.
GCT.
The tempo, that's the problem. Galtech got them early to mid-game with the way that they played their tempo, and they never let the foot off the gas. Beautifully done done all across the board, and the technicalities of it, attacking the mid lane, making sure, yes, you have a couple of bad matchups, but we can compensate if we have control. But we're going to be throwing it back over to the panel to break it down for you guys right after these messages.
¿Que solo una o van a ir a descansar o para como las fotos y eso? Se supone que ahorita esta partida termina a las 5:17, que son las 9. A las 9.
Oh, things are shaking up in a way we never expected it to do so. Geltec Cyber Team have taken map number 1, and Vitality is now behind in roster. Welcome.
Out this game, this ain't just a simple sprint.
Point, of course, and well, she seems to be leading the charge for Geltec Cyber Team, and Vitality has to find a way to deal with her.
And honestly, I kind of feel like this game, not gonna lie, is kind of over for the first 20 seconds. Because honestly, looking at the draft just now, there's just not enough damage coming in from Vitality, and there's so much heal coming in from GCT, but hey, Osprey, man, he sure knows how to draft.
He does, and he definitely has done his homework coming into this. Obviously, there was a big talking point about Coach Osprey and how well he would be doing, and he's already done well, right, for this Geltec Cyber Team roster. After all, they are undefeated. That was the moniker going into this. Both rosters undefeated throughout groups and obviously here in the knockouts.
I think they both only dropped one game. That's correct, right? And so it really just shows, you know, the very best against the very best. And I really do agree with what LaFell said earlier on about came back down to the draft. It's an interesting position to see for Team Vitality that they get drafted in such a corner, because obviously after the first few minutes of the game that you mentioned earlier on, you'd expect Fumi Echo on the side lanes on a hero that is so OP like the Freya to actually be able to carry it through. But unfortunately, I think they were just really falling behind on rotations.
So could you imagine a roamer like Kuejo dealing more damage than Freya or Fumi Echo?
No.
Fumi Echo only did 29,000 damage. Kuejo did 35,000 damage in that game. And part of the reason is because of her passive, where you attack me, I hit you back. But the problem is, you attack me so many times and I just don't die, so you take all the damage.
Tough stuff coming out, obviously, for Vitality. They've got to find an answer, and they need to do so very quickly before the series falls away. The Vitality fans, though, are unwavering in their faith. They are still out there, even after the loss, screaming and going off. Coming into the venue, Geltec Cyber Team, I thought looked nervous, but I guess it was pure concentration. They got on that stage, then they started joking around and having fun, and I knew, okay, they're comfortable, they're great. And even for the side of Vitality, a couple of smiles. One of the highlights, LaFell, yesterday was the fact that Vitality, even though they dropped the map to Falcons Indonesia, during the interviews with Rose, asked, like, what went wrong? They recognized what their faults were, and they came in to fix them. But did they truly fix them? I don't know. Map 1 was tough.
Because personally for me, I think this is a very easy thing to fix, because they noticed that the jungler was hit. So I feel like just pick up your jungler earlier, don't get to all the way to the red 5, and then you have no other choice than the Fredrin, and it should be fine. Because Indonesians, they like to fight. So when they have a draft that don't have enough damage, I feel like game number 2, not going to happen again.
Hey, Turner, let's look at one of our in-game actions, and this will start to tell the story of what ended up unfolding throughout that game number 1. Truly a phenomenal game indeed from the side of Geltec. And Eterna, I can't even imagine what we're going to see in this moment.
Okay, we're 14 minutes in, so it's already a little later in the stage of the game. You can see the Lord marching down on the bottom side of the map as well. And unfortunately, at 14 minutes, it feels like Shell just really didn't have the damage yet. Either she was lacking behind on the farm, or she just really didn't have her items down. But you could see her being the only person to clear on her side. There's not really much that she could have done in this moment. But what I found really surprising was this SOD hitting and her actually going into that. And
That's huge because in the interview that you were referring to yesterday about them taking accountability of their mistakes, it was actually Shell that was like, you know, okay, that was my bad on my part. And I felt like in that particular clip, we see Shell kind of faltering as well in terms of her decision making.
What about Cindy? Now, Cindy has been a big talking point for the side of Vitality. And from what I'm hearing, she is the IGL, one of the more vocal figureheads on this roster. What is Cindy's game plan? What do you think she's telling her roster going into this match number 2? Because she's going to need to get her team behind her.
Well, honestly, for game number 1, it looked like her role for that one is to control. Make sure that the front lines was disrupted. But in the early game, we can see that she didn't have enough time to really farm her own lane. So I really feel like in game number 2, I think she has to be a bit of a carry role, because I feel like in that game, all the weight is on Shell's shoulder. And I think going up against Galtech Cyber Team, that should not be the case. I feel like 2 or 3 members need to do damage. Fumeko could, but she was disrupted so much by Kyoe on that Aulus. A lot of true damage, she couldn't do much.
I agree. I think for the moments that we find Vitality in a position of success, even though we've been talking about Vivian so much, even though we've been talking about Vival so much, it's usually Cindy that holds a pivotal role, but based on the hero that she's given. Now, we were talking about it during the game as well, the fact that Jushin was nerfed out. So it's a little bit more difficult for her to do the playmaking role. And so when she's given a hero like something like the Valentina, that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more, you know, difficult, like with a higher skill ceiling.
Maybe that's why Valentina first pick, right?
Maybe.
Steal it away.
So what do you think hero-wise? Because you actually said it was lost within the first 20 seconds, which I've started to learn from the both of you and everybody else here on this MWI team. Man, the hero pick and bans really does make it or break it from your roster. No matter how good you are, you fall behind in the hero selection, you're pretty much done and dusted by the very beginning. Where did Vitality fall behind? Because you're convinced it was over before it even began.
Honestly, Eterna, I think this is showing the growth of the female scene here in MWI, because before this, Vitality was so strong, even with bad drafts, they can get away with it. Now everyone is at the same level. You make that mistake, you're not getting away with it.
And I thought that they learned from that. I thought they learned from that from last year, because when, well, not last year, 2 years ago rather, 2024, because that was the run where they lost against Smart Omega Empress with a different set of coaches. They had Coach Susugaja at the time, and in that best of 7 or best of 5, I completely forgot, but in that series it looked like they were falling behind on in terms of, you know, drafting, and that's how they really lost against Smart Omega Empress. So with the change of Cassius, you know, him stepping up, they've been undefeated, and then we see a draft like this. So we can say that from the beginning of the entire competition that Vitality had a target on their backs. That much is definitely true, because in that first phase, we saw so many of the important heroes from Team Vitality being taken away from them.
Well, they are the boss after all, and everybody has to eventually beat them in order to get the grand finals. This could very well be a historic moment. Now, I know I'm counting my chickens before they hatch, but if Vitality does not make it the grand finals, this is the first time in MWI history that Vitality has not made it, and that is a big deal. They already dropped the map earlier just yesterday to Team Falcons Amnesia, something that didn't happen in last year's MWI. This year they have now dropped a second map, this time to Galtech Cyber Team. And we've kind of talked about how the competition amongst the regions and various regions have been improving. Is Vitality's end and reign starting to come to an end?
Like you said, they are the boss. And usually what happens to bosses is they're not invited into the group chat. Because I really feel like, because honestly, if you go to the player lounge, you see all these players, they hang out together, right? So of course they be talking. And everyone has theory crafted how to deal with Vitality. And Vitality being the #1 at the top. Everyone wants to take you down. They're not a part of that conversation. So when a team loses against Vitality, they're like, you know why we lost? Because of A, B, and C. So other teams get to learn from that.
That's true. And Eterna, this is something I noticed across multitude of esports, and that if you are the best team and you have one of the biggest fan bases in a game, such as this case with Vitality, when you go out there, any team you play, it doesn't matter if they're one of the top dogs or the underdogs, they are going to give 150% because they want to be the ones to say, I beat Vitality. So every single matchup Vitality goes into, whether it's day 1 or the finals day, every team is giving their all.
No, for sure, for sure. That's definitely what is happening right now. You can even see it every time they get into a certain matchup. It feels like the next opponent that they always, you know, happen to oppose is a lot stronger than the one before that. So it really goes to show how much homework everyone is doing on them, and specifically so in game number 1, Team Vitality has found so much success, not just this year, but also last year on Akai. Akai specifically for Vival. And we're starting to see a lot of teams deny the Akai away. So, do they want to still stick with a tank jungler system? Or will we finally see Vival on one of her really strong heroes like the Assassins?
Well, Vivo is known as the Hive Queen, but on the opposite side, you got Kiowe, the Ice Queen. It's the Queen battle. Who will end up ahead? Let's find out during our pick and bans.
Yeah, right now it looks like Galtech Cyber Team is going to be first pick, Vitality on a second. They're going to be playing in Dangerous Grass. Looks like the Guinevere has been banned quite early, as well as the Marcel from a Vitality. And honestly, Kiowe, so far, she's been doing very well with the Aulus. I believe she hasn't lost just yet. If she has, maybe it's just once, but I don't know. Do you think Vitality would just let her get that again? Because you were talking about the Akai. They're not letting Vival get the Akai.
Super respect. They're taking the Guinevere away. They're taking the Akai away. And I think they should actually consider the Aulus. Or, you know, I mean, this has been the pick for Kiowe.
Yeah.
I don't think that Cassius has not thought about it. Right? If they didn't decide to ban it in first game, maybe they had an idea of how to take it down. Maybe it didn't work out. Maybe they want to go for something different. Because, you know, Benedetta was her thing last year. Now she has the Aulus. So we're going to see whether or not Cassius will actually start to respect it in the first phase. But the Hirara goes as well. So is this starting to eliminate my hopes and dreams for an assassin matchup between these two?
I feel like it's not completely over just yet until we see the EXP. Because I feel like if Vitality picks up something like Esmeralda, which not going to happen because Esmeralda gets banned, it looks like both team... Actually, Eternal, I think this is smart, right? Because both teams are opening up the Pokito as well as the Freya, kind of forcing Vitality to just pick up tanks. And maybe Kiowe just prefers that because Aulus, after the revamp, is very interesting. He has a way to cleanse crowd control, and when he uses his ult, he has damage reduction, making it so that he can basically fight forever, which is great against tanks. So maybe this is just Osprey's way of saying that, please pick up tanks, that's what we want. Oh, but no, never mind. They're going for the box. Yeah, interesting.
It could still be flex.
You know what? You're right.
Oh, definitely, it still could be flex. But I think for Galtech Cyber Team in particular, Koejo really hasn't picked it up so far. So we're looking at the idea that this should be jungle, but just for those of you guys back at home and for those of you guys in the venue as well, just keep your peels out for that possibility. Team Vitality, though, earlier on, we did see the Valentina being prioritized by Galtech. For Vitality, do they want to take the Valentina for themselves here, or do they want to look for a winning lane of their own? Because I feel like that's what they really lacked in that first game.
I feel like you still... Personally, for me, I would actually pick up Carry as well as Freya. It's very honest. You're showing your opponents where each other is going. It looks like they're going for a different route. They do pick up the Carry, because Carry, as of right now in MWI, has been amazing in turn. And now the Atlas probably just want a little bit of control. And maybe they're saying no way Galtech is going to pick up Freya, but I kind of feel like Freya should be picked up here.
I feel so weird about this, though. I feel really weird about the gold lane matchup and how, you know, volatile it is. Like, obviously, there's an argument to be made for Moskov and the Claude. And the carry is great if she gets going. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, the Claude has a little bit more value, especially in these team fights with his AoE damage. But it looks like they prioritize the carry instead. Galtech as well understand that with the choice of the carry, she's a little bit more, you know, low range, so she'd have to really dive into these particular team fights. They also see the Atlas on the other side. I think Beleric is a good call, and they again take away the Valentina. Just really putting Cine in a position to think, all right, you're really good, but what happens if you don't get a hero that can really accommodate?
I feel right now, Vitality needs to get lane winners. I think that's the biggest problem, because right now they're kind of winning the mid trio, right? Baxia, Valentina, Beleric. They have Atlas. That's a good start. The problem is, they only have one slot before the other bans come through. So I think Coach Osprey is attacking that mid trio game, making sure that they don't have enough damage, or they don't have enough tanking as well. At least they pick up the Eve Atlas. Honestly, pretty solid.
Exactly. That's what we were waiting for, right? That mid trio. You talked about it as well in game number 1, and it's definitely true. And that's the adjustments that we're seeing Coach
JJ
really go through. Oh, so that's where he went.
Qué bonito que hasta se mandan a hacer su merch.
They do. They love MLBB, and we are here for it as well. So coming into the second phase of the draft, the Yves has already been taken down now. Viva, what does she use in this regard?
Qué genial.
Honestly, the draft is so flexible because they haven't picked up the EXP laner yet. So I feel like Vitality is actually considering whether they do want to use some kind of damage dealer in the jungle, because right now, if you're looking at the tanks, there's only really Barats as well as Balman. I think Balman is a pretty solid choice here, but you know, can they use it?
Because jungle?
Yes, because here's the thing, Balman isn't great against crowd control heroes. Unfortunately, Valentina as well as Belleric has a lot of crowd control, so maybe not the best for Balman.
Do you think they're gonna go something crazy like an X-Borg? If
that's
and
actually not
only
bad.
if Baxia goes into the jungle, that's definitely an option that they can take. And I think, you know, back
Tengo
in
la
the day,
duda
we
de
had the
cuánto, un
option of
ejemplo, con el premio que ellos
Yeah.
ganan.
For me,
Supongamos
if you
que
see
ganan.
Geltec's gold laner and it's not like a burst type of gold laner, I actually think you can go for the
¿Qué son?
export because Valentina has burst, but with the Eve, I
90
think you're
mil
not
dólares.
going to lose mid lane that
Vamos a
much.
suponer que
So
son 90
maybe
mil dólares.
Geltec won't have enough damage to burst down the export. So honestly, not a bad idea.
Which is why maybe they take out the Claude, right? Other than the, you know, the laning phase from carry.
Bellman banned, by the way.
They do
90
still
mil
eliminate
dólares.
that possibility with perhaps the reasoning of denying that burst potential from the gold lane. The
una
Balman does
platanal.
get banned either way. So even
Luego
with the
de ahí
Belleric,
se
they
lo
don't want to take the
distribuyen.
risk, they
Vamos
don't
a
want to take
poner
the gamble.
entre 10
So
personas.
I think in my head, X-Borg, or do they
Entre
want to
10
play a little bit
personas, son 9
risky?
mil.
And do they want to play something more damage-oriented in the jungle, like an assassin or a YSS,
son
despite
platanal.
going up against something like the Belleric?
Honestly, I feel like YSS is probably the safest one, right? Because if you pick up the Ling, it's strong. But going up against Valentina, Baxia, as well as Belleric does not seem like a good idea. And honestly, them banning out the Moskov, does this not feel like they're setting up for an assassin?
Yeah.
They're banning out the Claude, they're banning out the Moskov. I feel like worst comes to worst, maybe a Harley. Maybe a Harley, but that's going to be a final pick. So we probably will see an EXP first. I kind of want to see something like a Yuzong, because they need some kind of dive.
For
Vitality.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Platanal.
Really great follow-up. I think Fumi Echo would do amazing on the Yuzong as well. She's been very active. And that's the one thing that I really need from Team Vitality. Fumi Echo needs to be given a hero where she can create crazy plays, like something like the Lapu Lapu, something like the Alice.
Arlet.
Arlet as
Yep.
well, one of her power heroes right now in this meta. But we talked about the YSS earlier, and they're like, no, we're gonna deny that first. So, Vival, what you gonna do?
I feel like we spent so much time with Osprey in these years. We called 4 out of the 5 bans, right? We called out the Akai, the Esme, the Balman, as well as the Yi Sun Shin. It's like a good friendship. We haven't seen each other in 1 full year, and yet we still know him.
It's like us.
So Vitality, here's the question. I feel like to be safe, you do pick up an EXP
La
later.
porra.
The problem is, most likely you're gonna get countered, right? I feel like the Alice is difficult because there's a Boxia. You got to be careful of that. But they still go for the Alice. Man, we call out the heroes now. Geltec. I'm thinking Carry is Harif is not bad. The other one is Bruno. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like Harif here.
Imagine being Sonjika now, though. She's like,
Mhm.
which ultimate do I pick up? Do I pick Alice's? Do I go for real world manipulation? Do I go for Fatal Links?
I feel like with this draft, I think it's best to take the Eve alt. Because picking up the Atlas, I think you're gonna die fast because of that carry.
And it's really great because you want to outrange the carry.
You're really great.
Thank you. You are too.
So now
You too,
Geltec.
Reflections.
You too, Reflections. You know what?
Thank you.
I gotta say, when we look at you, it's like looking at us back.
Me
Is
too.
that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing myself.
We see ourselves. By the way, Bruno gets picked up as well as the CC. This is pretty smart because, again, Geltec, they have like a singular style of the draft for this one, which is let's win the lane, right? Bruno wins against the carry, CC wins against the Alice, and then the mid trio, amazing.
Which is not great.
Oh, for
It's not
Vitality.
great for Vitality.
You're right. You're right.
I thought that she was going to pick up something like the Clint because she's picked it up before, but they go for something even more extreme like the Bruno. And obviously Bruno has a great window in the early game and also has a great window into the later stages of the game. So it's not necessarily them putting all their eggs in one basket.
And now with Berserker Fury, even the tanks will feel squishy.
Ouch. Ouch. That's all they're going to say. Or maybe they say something different.
This has to be an assassin. The only thing is what? Right? Yuzushin is already out. Do they go for the link?
Lancelot?
Actually, not bad. Not the best, but not bad. Hayabusa? They still go for the link. I don't know how to feel about this, Eterna, because this does not seem like a linkable game.
It's definitely going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. And we saw in game number 1, if they lose the drafts, it's not going to be as straightforward.
Oh, the Vitality fans are loud, but can the Vitality team get another W? Tie up the series 1-1, or will Geltic
No sé si se
Cyber
escuchaba,
team
estaba hablando.
secure their spot in the grand finals by closing it out 3-0? They've got 2 more maps to get there, but they're well on their way to doing so. It's Vitality versus Geltic
Tal vez
Cyber
acompañada
team
del Baxia,
map
sí.
number 2.
Creo que sí la daría.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Reflections. We go
Acabo de
into the
escuchar.
land of Dawn with the world watching.
¿Verdad que
Everybody
sí? Que yo digo que
looking for
sí.
somebody to
No me había dado
stop
cuenta.
Vitality's
Oh,
reign. But with the fans here and how much energy they give, they can only watch and bear witness as our competitors hit the field.
They cannot let any other feeling take over. I know we might be worrying by a bit just looking at how the Link could potentially be playing into this game, but you have to give out all your energy because if GCT get on the momentum, it's gonna be tough for Vitality here.
Keep in mind that, truth be told, as much as this might not be a lingable game, as long as Vival is able to take out Tokyo, there's a really good chance that Vitality still win the team fight here. There's not a lot of big damages, nothing that really leans into what they want to do. There is anti-synergy on
Es que así creo que lo pago
sides,
menos.
but for now, at least, the laning phase is going smoothly.
So they've went for a very specific win condition if that were to be the case. It's not a lane just constantly going for the kills all over the map, but more on making things difficult for one of the main carries of GCT, which is looking to be, once again, just the Bruno. But Kyoei seems to be on the shell at this point. Vivian does show up though, but they're not really gonna go for the fight.
Yeah, this is more of
Y
a
Vi tiene que
punishment
estar
on the
desgastando.
GCT side. Like, look at the tax on the
O
HP,
sea, una
right? Getting a
primera,
lot
o sea,
of the
primera, segunda,
regenerates
primera,
out of them,
segunda.
while Chell barely missing any EXP or even gold
Luego,
in
cada
lane
vez que
itself.
veo esto me dan
Now,
ganas de jugar.
this is the real question here. The fact that they banned out the... Wait, hold on.
Oh, Vivian does find Tokyo, still has the Purify, but Vival shows up. And right on cue, you mentioned it. This might be the game plan.
Yup. Again, the laning phase going really, really well. They got to be worried. Like, GCT need to recognize and remember
Podríamos
that
irnos
Ling,
hasta
similar to Fanny,
las 5
you take trades in lane, you
Estaría
better
brutal.
stay at least above 60% of your HP. Anything lower, there's a
Estaría
good chance
difícil.
that Vival's going to show up and dive you.
This is why they took out so much of the more safe options in the gold lane, the likes of the Moskov. They just wanted a gold lane that was easier to access for a Ling, but then right now we did talk about the XP lane. It seems like Yubon does have a slight advantage over Fumi Echo, at least for now.
This is great. Vitality to understand we don't actually need the first turtle. All we got to do is see whether GCT wants it more than us, and we're going to start stealing camps away. Look at that. Minimal. Give it up. Doesn't matter. Ling's going to get a purple buff on the opposite side, and still, unless GCT recognize, hey, after this turtle, we need to go for a fight and invade on the enemy purple side.
Vitality had enough time to get back despite that steal. Now Fumi Echo, though, and Vivian are quite low on HP, so Vival just does it alone! Vival steals it all alone! There goes the real world and the Tempest of Blades, and Sonic is nowhere to be found! What a macro play by Vitality!
What was that? What was that? Wait, I'm pretty sure that Vival didn't even have the purple buff. Yeah, Vival doesn't have it. They didn't steal it. They decided, you know what? They're actually rushing it down. We're going to walk back over to the turtle and just take him out. They got 2 kills for no trade on top of the turtle. I think that I don't want to say that GC kind of let it happen, but it sort of feels that way.
Yeah, they weren't able to really scout out what else Vitality was doing up on the map. I think they realized it very, very late too. So now they're losing out on a lot of resources. Fortunately, they are somehow balanced out in terms of levels and EXP, but that was a good start for Vitality this game.
Yeah, especially since GCT already had all the advantages that they were looking for. Well, maybe not on the gold side, but other than that, they had first position, first move.
Quaito all alone here.
Tú
There's
madrugas
4
más
members
que
and
yo,
Chell
mana.
decides to go in with the ultimate and the setup from Vivian as well. There goes the real world manipulation. The follow-up is just too much from Vitality. Vival constantly finding more and more kills.
Vitality, yo confío en esta vuelta.
All right. I got to think about this for a moment because
Yo
they
confío
are
en esta
not
vuelta para
playing
Vitality.
as confidently as we saw in Game 1. Revitalize was still available technically for Quavo, and by no means, I understand by holding your battle spell, knowing that you are going to die, that you want to save it, but at the same time, the cooldowns and knowing that the next turtle, you're not going to have the right abilities just yet anyway. So at this stage, Vitality are starting to take control. They control the tempo, not like GCT in game number 1. They're making their statements now and loud and early.
And isn't it a dream start for an assassin lineup too? Because even at this point, Chell just confidently taking on the 1v1 against Tokyo. That's where you see the Revitalize come in, but is it a bit too late? Because the Tempest of Blades from Vival is going to finish everything off. Doesn't have it now though, so she just might get traded down, and it's a shutdown for Kuejo.
Huge shutdown. Really sad that it had to go on to the roamer. It would have been nice that, you know, maybe Sonj or maybe Kyoe, somebody else. Most ideally Tokyo, because right now...
Es que al Bruno no le encontré mucho sentido, la verdad. En vez de Bruno, yo hubiera escogido un... Brody.
One, I don't really count.
Yo hubiera elegido un Brody.
But even so, it's not the best
Creo que tenía muchas más posibilidades un Brody, la
I
verdad.
think for Bruno, I think a lot of Brunos have been going through the most unfortunate of early games. We saw that happen too earlier on, but this time around, hopefully they do get to find some way to get back in the game, because again, it's still a very fast lineup, but just as fast, Vivian finds a target and they decide to pour in all of their resources there.
Buena ulti, buena distancia también. Muy buena posicionada. Es que se la van a llevar.
So much wins for Vitality all across the map.
A beautiful chain. Are they gonna dive this? Yep, Lubon.
Vivian trata de salir. Sí, logra salir.
Doesn't get the kill, and that's fine. Getting the flicker is good enough. GCT, at the very least, are punching back with Vitality.
Bueno, Geltex se va a llevar la torreta. Sería torreta por torreta prácticamente.
Top tier 1 already taken. Another neutral objective while they were at it. And not to mention, just really racking up the kills. 9-1.
Oh, that hurts.
Casi te presento Now. Now es organizador de Street Fighter, pero también en un momento jugó Mobile Legends.
But Vitality have been heavy on the macro so far in this game. They've been very specific on their win conditions. They've accomplished it in their first rotation. And they need not repeat it a bit too much, enough to a point where GCT could beat them out. Now it's GCT who we are currently questioning in terms of what the game plan currently is.
Well, right now, we just need to see a full-on team fight 5v5. We need to see how Yobon really impacts and influences the shape
Son
of
dos
the
amigas
fight,
que
right?
las quiero
Because
mucho
so
las
far
dos.
we've only seen the traditional 4v4s, and somebody is
Katy
always late to
también
the fight, unfortunately.
ha sido un gran apoyo. Y Wolfred, que son del Team Dalsace de Panamá. Ah, ellos son los de Panamá. Es irónico porque Nao trabaja con una organización de Panamá y ellos son de Panamá. Wolfred y Katy. Pues qué buena jugada. A mí me siento fabulosa. Eso es buena. Entonces, ¿tienen tanto en común ustedes dos también?
Not too bad. They still have 20 seconds left.
Ush, qué metida. Qué metida. Uy, qué buen tope le puso. Qué buen tope le puso la maga. Si no lo hubiera hecho chance y se lo termina llevando. Bastante. Mucho apunta a que este año mis colaboraciones van a ser en Panamá. El año pasado fue mucho Ecuador y Colombia. Pero te digo, todo se mueve a que Panamá es este año de Panamá. Y los conozco en persona, a Wolfred y Kat.
8 to 11 is the gap between their levels. Tokyo, unfortunately, on a 0-4-1 KDA right now, and I feel like at this point, Shell could just confidently take on even the tankiest members of GCT, so that's going to be a problem for Kyoe and Kuejo.
Well, speaking of confidence, you can see that Vitality showing themselves, hey, we're in the mid lane. Are you going to do something about this? Because we're walking to the Lord right now, and you don't have much of a choice. Now, the purple buff on the enemy side is spawning in 2 seconds, and Vival back into the same little shenanigans. They're repeating this script.
Yep, GCT badly want to contest, and they have not paid attention to the other parts of the map, all the while they've been trying to set up for the entries here in this upcoming Lord, but Vitality are just baiting them out. GCT, could they potentially sense this and try to get the or try to bite the bait because they see that Vival's up top. Quenjo's getting bursted down, has to run away, but the center from Sonj might not be enough because Vitality were
Buenísima
prepared.
entrada.
Now it's just the
Link,
backline
pero
of
mira, Link
Vival
metido hacia la
really
cocina.
out,
Uy,
so she'll
sería una
take care
triple.
of the rest.
Casi.
Vitality win out
Casi.
big in that team
La
fight.
Alice que le dio acompañamiento, si no, sí se lo hubieran llevado.
They might actually get a little bit more here, but it looks like they've zoned them out entirely. Cine and Vivi doing a very good job to make sure that GCT don't pull any rugs from underneath them and sneak behind.
Vitality, that was such quick movement. Vival, just for a moment, showed herself up top after stealing that purple buff. And GCT were a bit too occupied with trying to get in and follow up with both Quejo and Sonj because they both went for setups anyway. But the counters from Fumi Echo, the Throne of Ruins, and the real-world manipulations, plus Vival just cutting off the rest of the members as Chell clearly had enough damage. GCT had no way around that team.
Ay, ya, pero es que hace mucho frío y me da
Now, Vival, are you going to go 1v5? Are you really that
alergia.
confident with a 7.3k
No me
lead for
gusta.
your team? I don't think so, because Fumiheko, he's got it covered down by.
I think they're very careful now that they have this lead. They've learned so much from game number 1 and they've been playing it relatively simple now that they've already gotten the advantage for themselves. Now most of the Holy Shields are about to come fall for GCT, and I think it's just really playing for Tokyo that could be the game plan.
I don't know. I just saw Tokyo recently just purchase the Berserker's Fury 10 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. That's a really late pickup here in terms of just scaling timers. And in comparison to the already completed Trinity build on the opposite end, and of course, gotta
Y
make
les
sure
digo,
you got
Bruno,
some
yo no
mana
le
regen,
encontré
because
mucho
Chell
sentido a
wants
esa
to stay
participación.
on the
Valentina
map
la está
longer
sufriendo,
rather than having to
contra la
recall
IBE.
every single time she
Durísimo.
runs out.
Por eso no creo que Valentina tal vez haya sido para esta partida junto con el Bruno. Tal vez hubiera elegido otro mago.
Items already packed by Vitality just to respond to the lineup of GCT or to whoever might want to start things off for them. And they might not even confidently do so because, as you mentioned, it's just the Haas and the Berserkers. 3K is the goal differential between Chell and Tokyo at this point.
Yep. If the math serves me right, I think it should be roughly around the 16th to 17th minute where we're expecting, okay, a bold attempt coming up from Vivian here, but do we see any counterplay?
Kyoei does try to go for a counterplay. It's City who she tries to set up for.
Whoa!
Muy buena jugada. Hoy tienen que tener cuidado porque se están exponiendo demasiado y les podrían remontar. Qué buena retirada. Muy buena retirada. En el momento exactito que tenía que ser.
GCT trying to be a bit more confident and pushing forward.
Yo, Fumi!
Echo, Throne of Ruin on the far! And the follow-up from Vival, now it's Vitality with the re-engage! They're dealing with the front lines first, one by one. It's the exact same script for Vitality! The spread of the damage!
Arrasando, quítense que vamos a pasar. Aniquilados.
What a huge engage coming out of Fumihiko! This small woman has some big guns and such high-stakes games,
Victory.
and that is going to be it. Tokyo
Después de
coming up in
aniquilados, ni de
7 more
broma.
seconds, but the game is already done. A clean wipeout from Vitality to say, no, we're defending champs for a reason. 18
Esta partida
to 3.
de Vitality.
Just when GCT thought that they could have found an opening, a single pickoff to boost their confidence, Vitality clapped back with the exact same sequence they've been doing to win out most of their team fights in this game.
Oh, the set plays here, the hesitation, I think that's what's really the difference here. If a team is not only proactive, but is decisive, that is going to be the big game changer. Because look at this, Fumi was already communicating, we're going to turn this fight instantly. And the backline, Vival, you just deal with them, the rest of us will melt them down. As Chell played a perfect game. Perfect purifies as well.
You have too many guards. Chell is too well guarded in this game.
We're going to be throwing over back to the studio. Break it down for us after these messages.
Vitality fights back. They tie up the series 1-1, and now things just got super interesting. That map was pretty dominant from the side of Vitality. What do you, I guess if you've been giving us a lot of euphemisms, you've been reading a lot of...
Find your inner anthem, write another stanza. If you're on the dance floor, go ahead, put your hands and sing it with the band. The sun don't shine. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la.
Just say something, by the way, that was not planned at all. LaFell literally just freeballed that. And he did such a good job. Very well done. I'm impressed. Eternal, let's start talking about some of these stats because it's clearly very one-sided.
Yeah, so it goes back down to the drafts. I think even LaFell mentioned it. This looked like a not lingable game. Is that what you said? Yeah, a not lingable game. And when you're up against a composition with a ling and so on and so forth, well, basically any assassin of that matter, the early game, that window is so important, right? Because that's when the assassin is at its weakest, and that's when the opportunity arises for you to try and pressure the ling, and it felt like Geltec was unable to utilize it to their advantage.
And I feel like this is why they're champions, right? Because they saw a small opportunity. The moment they got that Berserker Fear, they're like, you know what, you gave us an advantage, we're not letting this go.
We just saw, just for a second, Kioe versus Vival, again, that Hive Queen versus the Ice Queen, and it's been highly entertaining. Only one queen, though, will get to play for the championship, and Vitality is coming back quick. It's now tied up 1-1. We take a look at one of the moments from that matchup in map number 2, and I believe this is going to be towards the tail end when Vitality says, enough is enough, let's take the win.
So this was an interesting, well,
Esto
it was a
genera
big
que
play
vayamos
by
a tener
Fumi Echo,
5
right? Because
enfrentamientos.
initially it looked like, before this we don't get to see it, but it felt like a botched Vivian play because she missed the Fatal Links, and Sonjika even emoted after that because she was able to deny that away from her. And you'd think in that moment, like, okay, Geltec is able to get the upper hand, they get a good team fight going for them, and then Fumi Echo just is 2 steps ahead. She waits at the back bush. We saw it in the replay there as well. She goes in, Thorn of Ruin, and catches so many, and everyone else was able to collapse over that.
I gotta say, we're talking about the story of MWI here. Fumi Echo has been getting highlight plays over highlight plays, no matter what hero she's been using, especially on that Alice, really setting up for her team for success. And my goodness, Fumi Echo, this season of MWI is something different. Yeah,
unstoppable. I don't know if the Terminator is the right call. We'll get a name for Fumi Echo in just a little bit. Our commentators, though, are giving all their emotion and giving all the energy they can for this great series. Let's see how they looked during that map number 2.
Vival just does it alone! Vival seals it all alone! There goes the Real World and the Tempest of Blades, and Sonjik is nowhere to be found! What a macro play by Vitality!
What was that? What was that? Wait, I'm pretty sure that Vival didn't even have the purple buff. Yeah, Vival doesn't have it. They didn't steal it. They decided, you know what? They're actually rushing it down. We're gonna walk back over to the turtle and just take them out.
Again,
Lo que sí es que los de estos eventos se meten mucho mucho show a todo.
No, especially, honestly, I was losing my mind as well because, honestly, at that point, Viva already gave up on the purple buff and then tried to go for the turtles. So I'm like, wait, that might be the bad decision. But then, Kioe as well, she didn't retreat at all that turtle, so that was... See, even Gino was still random. What was that?
Right? They're still trying to figure it out, and we'll give them a little bit more time to figure it out, because luckily Rose was on site, had a chance to speak to Zorn. All things meta-related. Rose, what did Zorn have to say?
Hey guys, Zorn here all the way from Malaysia. How are you?
Hello guys, I'm good.
It's nice to see a familiar face here in Paris. So how has Paris been treating you so far?
I feel like this is a very good atmosphere that I alami apa?
Experience.
Experience.
Okay, now as you all know, Zorn is a pro player and not just a KOL. So I want to get your thoughts on, you know, the meta that we have been seeing here at MWI. What are your thoughts on it?
I feel like the meta is currently, I feel like it's similar to MSC, which is the boys, which is, I feel like maybe because of the current patch is still on the same page, but I feel like there's some interesting heroes that they bring here, but I feel like there's so many heroes still not coming out.
Oh, a lot of heroes have not come out, but you said a lot of interesting picks has been picked here. So do you foresee, or do you perhaps think that some of these heroes will carry over to MSC? And if so, which ones?
Do you mean which one? What hero?
Ya, meta mana yang you rasa akan dibawa kepada MSC? And kalau
Perdón,
ada
fui a
pun,
ver
yang
algo
mana satu?
rapidísimo. Ahorita pongo otra vez la
I
pantalla.
guess
Salud, gracias,
the
gracias.
meta, which is
Es que
the utility tank jungler, I feel like this basic meta for now. So this is the same meta. I guess will be the same as MSC.
Now, Zorn, you know what? You're here in MWI, you're experiencing this, but I gotta ask you, what do you think about the level of competition this year? Do you think it has improved compared to the previous years?
Definitely yes, I agree, because I've seen a lot of teams that competing at a higher level, which is the difference is the gap between those teams is becoming much smaller. So I feel like there's a good improvement for women scene.
I agree. I'm pretty sure all of us have been, surprised and disappointed with some of the games that has unfolded here at MWI. My last question, Zorn. We know that Malaysia is out of the contention for MWI, but who do you think is going to win it all?
This is a very hard
this
prediction for me, but I feel like it's either Navi or Vitality. Those two.
Either one.
Either one. I cannot predict.
Thank you very much, Zorn. It's good to have you here. That's it from us.
todos felices.
Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by play.
Thank you, Rose, for the interview with Zorn. His official predictions are in. Grand Finals not.
Pues déjenme mutear porque luego dicen cosas y digo silenciar. Ahí está. Listo. Ush, pausa en vez
On
de
the
mutear.
Vitality side, how could you not? They are the loudest in the stage. The fans are getting hype, and the Vitality fans continue to jump. I don't know how they do it. How do they have so much energy? I guess they're not
Los
34
novios
like
al
me. They're
oscuro.
giving it their all, and they've been screaming at the top of their lungs. And one name has been coming to the attention. It's Vival, constantly chanting her name. And Vival is about to play once again. Now, I've got to pick your brain, LaFell, because we were talking about the hero selection from before. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I think you mentioned that Team Vitality did fall a little bit behind in the hero selection, yet they dominated that map too. So is this one of those rare moments where even though their heroes were a bit outpaced by Geltic Cyber Team, their overall skill and experience ended up overdoing the hero pick from Geltic?
Honestly, that's an amazing question, but I would actually say it was Geltic's mistake. They made such a big mistake where the best way to explain it is they lost focus, right? It looked like they were autopiloting. It looked like brain fog because they started doing things that doesn't make sense according to the draft. In fact, the very last play, Fumi Echo jumped in. That was great and all, but why didn't Geltec Cybertech check the bushes, right? Isn't that like a normal thing when we go into the late game? So it really looked like for that one, I apologize, but this is a true analysis. They were just autopiloting for that one.
Which is why we were always talking about that window, that early game. The early game
La
has been so
ventana,
important
la
from game
ventana.
1. The early game has been so important to game 2. And it was the execution of Geltec in the early game for game number 2 that
Solo
really
dinero,
lost them the
literal,
battle
nada
at
más.
the very end. Like that 10k gold lead that eventually built up by Team Vitality, that was because of the early game once again.
And that concerns me because now it's one of those moments where it's like you have the hero pick, you won the pick and ban, but now your fundamentals are starting to fall. You cannot afford that against the final boss of Team Vitality. Going into map 3, they got to pick themselves up. Now, LaFell, though, the reality is we're here at the MWI. We're in Paris, and we are on the home turf of Vitality, and the fans are loud. How much of an effect do you think that is happening for Geltic Cyber Team? Because they've got to listen to that.
Dude, that's huge. Like, imagine when we just started becoming talents, right? The cameras are intimidating. The lights are intimidating. After years, Then we started getting used to it. But for them, they got to get used to it pretty fast. I mean, like, Kiwi, sure, maybe the Ice Queen, she can handle it, but it's a 5-player team. Everyone has to be on the same page.
That, and also Kiwi is the only one with international experience.
Yeah.
So she's here with 4 new faces, and I've spoken with a lot of, the female players when they've made their debut from last year, even the year before, and every single one of them has mentioned the lights, the stage, the audience, it all has a mental impact.
It's hard, isn't it, as a competitor, but if you want to be the best, you have to ignore all that and play the game you know. We know for a fact Celtic Cyber Team can win this series. They won map number 1 in a convincing fashion. If they can just play like that, who knows, they might take down the Titans of Team Vitality and be in grand finals tomorrow. But they've got a lot of work to do. We're tied up 1-1. Let's see how our pick and bans go.
Eternal, let's talk about this. Cassius, Benna, the Boxia, the Aulus, as well as the carry. Does this not just scream like, we're respecting you and we want to take this game?
This is a completely different system, or a completely different strategy, I would say, from Game 1, Game 2. The fact that Team Vitality have swapped sides with Celtic, they've really tried to facilitate the opening of this debut Hirara pick. Right? First pick Hirara here for Team Vitality. They're very confident with that. And the surprising thing is, when you're up against Hirara, do you not think that heroes like the Moskov would be more of a problem compared to the carry?
I feel like that shows that they just want to make sure that both Vivian as well as Fumi Echo has a good time, because, Hirara, jungle, damage dealers are probably going to have an EXP that's more tanky. I think they just understood in this game, as long as Fumi Echo has a good time, as long as Vivian is having a good time, Vival is just going to have a good time.
Okay, so we're talking about the EXP lane now. Because on one side we have Esmeralda, and on the other we usually see either Sora or perhaps a CC or a
Su
Yuzong
cabello
sometimes
bien
even.
raro, bien lateral, bien emo.
Right, even Freya is open, so this is very interesting here, because I wonder what pick Kioe will pick here, because technically 4 junglers has been banned. Now, Aulus has been banned, Boxia, the Gwyn, as well as the Akai. Celtic, they early picked the Esme. I respect that because there is no carry. And now they early picked the Clint to possibly say, hey, don't pick the Claude. We already have your counter. And now the Atlas has been picked up, and even the Alice. Look at the AoE that Vitality has. It seems like they want to fight.
But what do you think about the Alice into the Esme matchup?
En tiradores siento que son como más exóticos o menos, no sé. Por ejemplo, he visto que sacan Bruno y no lo han sabido usar bien, la
Just ignore
verdad.
the hater. Like, I'm not going to win against you, so I'm not going to fight against you, right? The way that you play Alice against Esme, you just try to freeze the lane on your side, get level 4, and then try to win the first turtle, and then after that, do the same thing at game number 2.
Okay, so we're expecting that kind of mentality coming into game number 3, and technically it did work out for them in game number 2, so let's see if it crossovers to their 3rd game. But of course, we are still waiting the last pick in for Team Celtic, Lilia. Okay, so they see really strong heroes for the first 3 from Team Vitality. They're picking up something of a momentum hero of their own, the Lilia, with highly fast clear and already really good base damage in the early game.
Very good against tanks like the Alice as well as the Atlas. I'm just slightly worried because going up against the Herrera, because Lilia, out of all the heroes in ML, has one of the lowest HP pool, making it so that she's extremely squishy. So a good engage by Herrera, she's dead. And we don't know what the mid is going to be. If the mid is something like Eve or even a Farsa, this Lilia will not have a good time. So I think it's an amazing pick, but it's not without its weaknesses.
She needs to be very quick when and how she gets to that level 4. Because that's the only saving grace that she has, her black shoes. The black shoes can take her out of really sticky situations, and she's going to be relying on that. So they need to be able to facilitate that with an equally strong roamer pick.
The only question is what is up right now, right? Because now the Balearic is gone. I wonder if they want to go fight fire with fire and possibly pick up something like a Gatot, something like a High Loss, someone that can bring Revitalize so that they can stay in the fight for much longer. But if they do that, they need some kind of fighter in the jungle. Because when it comes to the tanks, yeah, it's just Balman as well as the Barat. So I'm actually not entirely sure what their roamer is going to be.
I agree. I think they need counter engage. And other than the Gatot Kacha, the one hero that has been trending so much with counter engage was the Balearic. So that is a really good ban coming in from Team Vitality. And the second one, which I'm kind of 50-50 with, but it has won games, is the Minotaur. surprisingly so, it has gained popularity, and it also can bring out the Revitalize.
Yeah, I feel like if Minotaur lasts after you see Vitality's pick in mid, it's fine. Because if they pick up an Eve, which they have not banned, if they pick up a Jushin, which they also have not banned, that might be very difficult. Looks like Vitality is on the same page as us. They're taking out the Belleric as well as the Gatot. Revitalized carriers, so now it's only high loss, which there's multiple heroes that can deal with the house. In fact, they can pick up a Gord, and the Gord might still work well here.
Which is why I don't like the Hylos pick. I think they need a little bit more CC to work with, a little bit more tools to work with. I understand the Hylos still has that, point and click stun, which is really great, but it's not AoE. It's not groundbreaking like something like the that Fumi Echo has on the Alice, or the Fatal Links that, of course, Vivian has on her hands right now. It's not great for counter engage.
It's like meh. It's like
meh.
You walk fast a bit, and it's like pop,
like,
and then you're stunned.
Because I would say Cho if they want.
So it looks like they're setting up for either a Balman or a Barats. Most probably a Barats here, and I think it's going to be good. But this is high risk, high reward, Eterna, right? Because they have a lot of bursts. They can go in and out, but this is one of those drafts that requires high mechanical prowess and a lot of trust. If you don't trust your team, it's going to look very bad, very fast.
And Matilda really has to be on point, I think, when she utilizes like all her resources. So with that in mind, carry was already banned by them. The gold lane is still wide open. They don't have any source of shred or burst just yet. So we're waiting on the next two picks. Without the carry, what would you utilize in the gold lane? Selena was not my first pick. But Claude still makes sense here.
It sounds like Vitality is rushing to go back home here. Selena can just make the farm so fast, get Hirara moving, and then Geltec, they don't have a lot of HP. It's just the Esmeralda, even the Matilda, right? If she gets the flash of the Oasis, sure, she's kind of tanky. But before that, I gotta say, both teams here, they're on the same page. High octane draft, we win fast, we lose fast.
So, Barats?
I think Barats is the choice. I can see a Balman.
Barats
if they go crazy,
anti-CC, right?
Yes.
So that's, I think, maybe one of the key factors that they're thinking about, because if they do go for tank jungle, they really need to work around these neutral objectives. But the choice is Balman, and Balman is highly sensitive to crowd control, which Team Vitality has a lot of.
Win fast, lose fast. We'll see how it goes.
Vitality also has a lot of wins, Eterna. So will they get another one? They're tied up 1-1, but Celtic Cyber Team refusing to bow the knee. They do not want to give up this match, and they are going to fight back. But the question is, who will be the first one on match point? It's a best of 5, and whoever wins will be up 2-1. It's Team Vitality once again going toe-to-toe with Celtic Cyber Team. Let's get Map 3 started with Brigitte and Gideon.
We've seen two sides of the story. One where Galtech might overcome the defending champions, or of course Team Vitality holding on to the trophy all the way to the end. Only one spot in the grand finals to fill as we jump into the land of dawn. The match score is 1-1.
And we will be witnessing another Selena game from Cine to top off this draft that Vitality has decided to field, which I think came as a bit of surprise for both of us and even the panel as they decided to go for this
La
instead
verdad,
of
para
any other
serte
source
sincera,
of burst
tal vez
and or even
no
shred.
me gustan los picks de ninguno, o sea, la selección de combos. Pero si tuviera que elegir uno, tal vez yo creo que Heltec tiene como mejor alineación, ¿me explico? Pero vamos a ver. Siento que el único aguante que traen es Alice y cuesta medio escalarla, entonces, o sea, uy, esa Selena, bueno, ya después de ver esa Selena, no lo sé, tengo dudas ahora.
Yeah, they gotta make sure they time those concussive blasts. And more importantly, if they happen to, snag him with an arrow, catch him with a fatal link, a simple stun, really, that's when you can follow it out with the Selena. So I'm looking at not just the Atlas, but I'm also looking at Vival and Fumieko, if they could set things up for City too.
Well, I think Jeltic are very careful of those potential setups. I see multiple Purifies being picked up again. You're probably forced to, considering the amount of crowd control, which was also highlighted previously, that could be detrimental for even the Balmond of KOA. And how they are actually going to create an opening for this is something we're yet to see, because it's mostly been skirmishes in the mid lane just for now.
Yep, 10 seconds left on the clock before we do see the very first turtle of this game, and immediately what's blaring alarms is where's the level 4s? Again, the waves are about to crash, but this is the most important side for important level gap for either side. They want to hit level 4 and immediately start taking first positions.
Yeah, for the Selena, maybe you could argue that even if she doesn't, but at the same time, you do feel that it does slow down a bit when you have a Selena with the amount of wave clear that she can only provide. Chell, though, will get to clear this out before eventually resetting, but the turtle goes over to Vitality and a setup from Fumieko. City landing another arrow as well. KOA has to get away, but she could not. Not even the lethal counter could save her. Guejo being chased even under the turret, and that's a win for Vitality.
Now, despite having some really good winning lanes here, Luan should technically be okay, but a double kill already achieved is not
Vitality diciéndome cállate, no es así.
Vitality taking a 1.1k lead. We now look down towards that top side, and they're
Goblin,
immediately
¿cómo
taking
estás?
away the
Bienvenido.
gold. Devon will try her absolute best to try and stop the bleeding, but now you see
Pero es que bueno, la Selena se mueve bien, no es como que solamente se esté quedando en un solo lado, ¿me explico? Eso hace la diferencia.
actually stop the engagement. They just have to dodge it.
They also have so many ways to start it. Like, anyone from Vitality at this point, I feel, could just be confident enough to go in and catch GCT by surprise, which helps a lot in how the arrows eventually land, because the things get just so messy, similar to what we're seeing right now down bottom, but Tokyo at least will be safe from that.
They're probably going to re-gank it at some point, right? Go for the recall for Vivian and then look to make it happen once again. Try to steal this camp away, but now really punishing KOA.
Seriously, Fumieko all alone. Might just go for the solo kill. A bit of help there from Vival, but majority of the work was done there by Fumieko all alone. Now it's a potential punish that GCT are looking for, and Guejo will get the job done.
Oh, a little frustrating, of course, but it's still worth taking out the enemy jungler. KOA is currently still level 4
la Selena se mueve bien, la verdad, la Selena se mueve bastante bien.
And stealing away camps in front of their face.
She's been doing this since game 2. Game 2, a lot of resources denied from KOA, and that still holds true for game number 3. Only difference is probably you get a bit more help from Fumieko as well. She's been always in the face of KOA on this Balmond. She's not afraid even if KOA is on this hero.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked as well, but at this point in time, we're just going to have to wait and see, right? Mid-game is when we're expecting GCT to really start picking up the pace, especially since Tokyo has yet to get that first item down. And once that first item is down, it's only ramping upwards. Purify out early.
Yeah, that was even before the first objective. Cine 2, the way that she's been landing these arrows have, I think, influenced so much of how this is not the usual aggressive Lilia early game that you're seeing from GCT. Ooh, little counter dodge right there. Cine, another arrow connecting onto KOA. The guiding wind might help, but Vivian will actually go for the setup. Will the follow-up be enough, though? It's going to be KOA targeted first, and they will actually find the kill. From behind, Vival goes into, and that's enough to complete this wipeout for GCT.
That was so clean. That was like so unironically clean.
Es que tienen mucha movilidad, o sea, yo no digo que no, tienen mucha movilidad, pero no pensé que sí fueran a trabajar en equipo para sacarla.
And they said, you know what? Yes, we'll just do it underneath the turret. Doesn't matter. Vivian's got all the big battle spells out, and because they have no Purify, there is no escape.
Pensé que la Alex no salía.
All the skills that they threw, the sequence was just too perfect for Vitality in that gang. You mentioned it, they might
Podría ganar Vitality, si gana esta. Una tercera ya no sería nada.
Who is clearly struggling in the gold lane matchup right now. Another arrow, the burst! The burst is just a bit too much. Guejo steps on another trap as well. Now we're starting to feel the lack of sustained heroes in the hands of GCT.
Yeah, but they need the Flask of Oasis. Another arrow connects into a Fatal Links, but still manages to pull out with the help of a buffered Guiding Winds. These are the little mechanics here, right? You're just buffering abilities upon abilities, praying that the Chain CC has a broken link.
No, they see Vival trying to go after Sonjke. That's a lot of members of GCT you spot out there, but she's still not afraid to just make her presence felt.
And they can't even sit deep in enemy territory, or at least move up into no man's land to pick up the minions. At this point, it's pretty impossible for Kyoei to try to go for a steal. She needs to close that level gap to make sure that her retribution is bigger. I'm going to assume probably close to level 10 would be most ideal.
Oh, Tokyo! Purify already used! Still gonna be okay. Sonjike and Kyoei to show up from the sides, but the damage on Kyoei is no joke. Fumi Echo gets to get away from that turret, but there goes the Circling Eagle. They might not want to commit this though.
No, this is a no contest. An easy no contest for Vitality. Going to deny the purple buff as well, and they're probably going to cut off the mid-tier 2 here just to make sure they secure mid-tier 1.
Just how many resources have been stolen away from GCT at this point? Vival's movements across the map have been a bit too unpredictable for GCT, or maybe they just couldn't also keep up because of the pressure that she's been doing. Look at her up against Kyoei. Even using... Oh, that wasn't the retribution. Oh!
Yep.
Was able to iframe her way out of the lethal counter!
This is super silly. It is clear. It is clear. They don't remember every single one of Irara's abilities. She has 4 to work with here. Gotta make sure that you remember all of them. There is a snare, there is an iframe, and most importantly, she has multiple dashes. Vitality taking full control.
They've pretty much shown us how the matchup goes. Hirara being able to play around this matchup against the Balmond, but it's also just not the Hirara making all of this possible. It's everyone being able to just accomplish their laning phases successfully and not allowing GCT to do the rotations they want.
And Vitality, at this point, they've got squatters' rights. They're basically camping in their home, sitting in their jungle, waiting for somebody to come, and just to be an absolute nuisance, they're not going to leave.
Looking at the items right now, you could, I think, see how significantly behind the EXP laner and gold laner is. It's the sides that are feeling majority of the pressure, but there could be no comparison to the jungle. I think that's almost 4K that they have to deal with, but Vivian and Fumi Echo once again are gonna go in. They're waiting for the perfect moment, and there you go, Vivian! Without the Purify, sets up for Sonjike, but she still has the black shoes, but it's space that they want, it's space that they create to steal away more and more objectives from GCT.
6 seconds left. Oh wait, the arrow actually hits, but they don't punish just yet. Kyoei able to get out just in time. I don't know, this is starting to look a little riskier. A lot of the big resources have been thrown out from the side of Vitality. They're trying to back this off. The only person who can hold on is Fumi, and now they punish with Vival.
Fumi Echo on a purple buff, by the way.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, Yubon jumping in, falling star move, but Chell also dealing a decent amount of damage. Vivian too, another perfect pair. Could she go for another setup? She doesn't have the flicker, and GCT are just gonna scramble away.
This scramble is actually not really great for GCT, right? But at the same time, they kind of don't have a choice. They want to keep Vitality in check, and the only way to keep them in check is to be right up in their faces.
Another falling star moon, Yubon and Kuejo trying to work hand in hand just to be able to get in, but Vitality let go of the lore just as they do so. They have other things to accomplish before they commit to that.
Yep, they're going back to the fundamentals, reset up those waves. Look at that top and bottom side, both in neutral territory, and GCT are the first ones on it. However, with top wave pushing in, Vitality, are they going to get away with this?
They're letting it go. They don't mind that top wave pushing in. They just really want to secure this objective for themselves. GCT will settle with at least a tier 2 up top, but maybe not even, because another abyssal arrow from Cine will connect. That's going to be Liuvon, though a very tanky XP lane, but this time it's not just Cine. Vival shows up, Vivian's here too. Cine tries to run away. That goes the fatal links just to make sure they get out alive and pick up a kill even before the Lord.
Oh, it's so good. And Fumi, she doesn't mind. Look at her. The unkillable EXP laner on this Alice. Absolute monster. Underneath the turret as well. Vival getting really disrespectful from all sides. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat the fastest game just yet, but I feel like Vitality are ramping it up to make sure that it's somewhat close.
If so, they'll have records of longest games and shortest games, both in their hands alone. But Vitality, that seems to be the case. They're geeking things fast. Vivian going in once again. There haven't been Purifies forced out just yet. Oh, there you go. Just as I mentioned, the two are already down.
Yep, big, important spells here.
9-1. O sea, sí le dio una buena arrastrada.
How much you want to bet? It's either the Throne Ruin or the Fatalings. Which do you think is going to hit more targets?
Okay, maybe I might just go for Fumieko right here, but they will focus on the turrets for now. They want to create space. They want to go for the base turrets, and that's exactly what they need to keep the pressure going for GCT.
Just letting it happen. No wait, the arrow, it hits on the correct target. They move backwards, and yet still they maintain this pressure. I love the fact that Vitality plays textbook because they know they can guarantee the win if they just take their time.
Yeah, they're not doing much of the risky plays. Everything seems very calculated from them. Even the moments where Vival does things like this or dives. Fumieko already showing up in the back lines, but there goes Vivian with a two-man setup, and Vival is already godlike. It's a double kill, which she actually picks up, moving on to a triple and a maniac. Can she make it a savage? Yuba's the only target left, but they're gonna respect. They're gonna play it by the book. Flying clouds to where? She wants to clear the wave, but she cannot. It's a savage for Vival as Vitality take match points.
Insane game there. Vival coming out huge with a savage, making it look easy at the same time. At this point, it's Team Vivality at this point, right?
Hirara has to make her way back to the bans.
It's gotta be banned.
After what happened here, I doubt GCT want to go through that all over again.
Ridiculous plays here coming in from game number 3 to turn it 2-1.
Yo no entiendo para qué se van y vuelven a entrar, o sea, no le entiendo
yes,
sentido eso.
Into 2. Even the Throne
Creo que
Ruin
es para las
to make
entrevistas,
sure
¿no?
that they stay apart for half a second before we see the full combination from Vival. 10, 0, and 2. A literal perfect game coming out of this team.
Oh my goodness.
Mira, error de muchos. Tenía que derribar todas las torretas para pensar que ganas.
To clear whatever she could, but that was just not one wave. That was a lot. As I think it's about time we break down this game and throw it over to our panel after these messages.
Está complicado. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Sorprende a las empresas con un currículum profesional de cdwizard.es y resalta entre los demás.
Listo.
Two fast games put Vitality
2-1
on
Vitality.
match point. One map
Perdón,
away
contra
from
Heltec.
moving forward to grand finals. Celtic Cyber Team are going to have to dig deep, win the next two if they want also their spot into the grand finals. That map was another quick one, and it ends in a savage.
Yeah, honestly, that was amazing.
Es que esos picks, no sé. Ajá, todos estuvieron bien exóticos, por eso digo que como que no lo sé.
And now we gotta go back to Kyoe. Why does she keep using tanks?
That's a question. That's a question because game 2, game 3, it was so clean, so fast by Team Vitality, and the main difference maker was Vival being able to pick up the assassin. So will we be seeing an assassin v assassin next time?
We need that, don't we? I think we need more assassins in our life. Spice things up for sure. Vival is getting all the attention out here in the crowd for sure. Let's take a look at our first action. It's towards the tail end. This is where things really start to fall apart for Celtic Cyber Team. And man, it is tough to watch at times. Or excuse me, we go back to the beginning, and this is going to be one of those fights now where Vitality truly starts to gain a foothold in the match.
Allow me to rant just a little bit, right? Because here's the thing, Kyoe, she is moving away from her character. But here's the thing, what is character? Well, philosophers have said that character is defined by habits. What's habits is the thoughts and the activities that you do daily. And here's the thing, when you start to break character, when you move away from your natural routine, you will start to act without passion as well as perform or behave outside of your rational mind. So going from a damage dealer to a tank, we can definitely see Kyoe is not moving as she is supposed to do.
That, and also she wasn't set up for success, right? If she was on maybe a different kind of tank that like a Barrett has anti-CC, maybe it could have been different. But we already did mention in the drafts it would be either the Bellman or the Barretts. But the fact that they chose the Bellman is so susceptible to CC, and you could even see her in that particular clip being taken out by a trap.
Let's go a little bit deeper into the match and look at around the 10-minute or so mark. And we have one of these incredible fights that ends up unfolding.
Yeah, this was the make it or break it moment. And at this stage in time, man, if you don't expect a big play from Fumi Echo, make sure that you expect it from Vivian, because she's sure to get that phalanx in, even under turret. And then the collapse after that was insane. This was the moment when the Maniac hit, and then she only had one more left. Leobon had no choice because she really needs to clear the minions, but she then technically gave it to Hirara, gave it to Viva on a silver platter, and that is one of the first savages that we've seen so far here at MWI.
Honestly, looking at that play, I really want to make sure, because right now is match point. Geltec Cyber Team, we've seen teams going back to comfort, and honestly, it hasn't worked out. But I feel like for them, they really have to, because here's the thing, Kioe, you're not a meta player, right? You always play things that's outside of the meta, but it's something that you've practiced non-stop. And I also feel like Cassius have seen that, right? That's why we see an unorthodox ban, banning out the Baxia, banning out the Owls, and then eventually even the Yisun Shin. We were talking about if the Yisun Shin was there, maybe they would do well.
So is this one of those cases, you go back to map 2, the Hero Select actually benefited Geltec. Did it benefit them this time around, or was it once again one of those factors of mechanics?
No. Game 1, Game 2, it felt like Geltec still had a chance, an opportunity, because it looked like Team Vitality wasn't winning on the drafts per se. But in game number 3, Cassius really set the team up for success, right? Winning lanes, they were able to facilitate that as well. I feel like going up against the very best, it comes back down again to the drafts.
Taking a look at Vitality's dugout, they're in there, and you notice not a lot of really talking going on, strategizing, and I think because they're in their flow state, they just feel comfortable. They know they're in control, right? This would be a much different story if they had lost. They'd been down 2-1. I'm sure they would have been huddling up, but right now, nice and relaxed, calm, LaFell, they look good.
This also shows that they have one thing in mind and they don't want to disrupt it, right? Because right now I feel like Cassius is having checkmate after checkmate when it comes to the bans. So I feel like the entire team, they're on the same page. Make sure Kioe doesn't play. Step number 1. Step number 2, make sure that Fumi Echo gets out of lane. Step number 3, win.
Well, the club championship update is well underway. From what I'm hearing, Trev is traveling. He's over on stage 3. What's going down over there?
With the semi-final action well underway in MWI over at the Allianz Vault, I've managed to slip away, meet up with Chris at the Lenovo Legion Gauntlet, and he's going to update us on everything Dota at the moment.
Yeah, and you come at the right time, actually. When we're talking Club Championship, this is a big moment for week number 2. Falcons Key being crushed right this second. I literally, Slacks is right behind us getting this done. That is a massive, massive result up against the team they've gone up against with VG. But for them, Falcons only getting 200 points. They topped their group. They only come in with 200 points. It has been a miserable start for Falcons on this side of the arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same over at the Allianz Vault as well. Falcons, both teams dropped out in the quarterfinals too. So it's left down to Vitality playing off in their semi-final now. Faced a bit more pressure than they thought. And Na'Vi straight through to the grand finals as well. So that's another grand final appearance for Na'Vi over at the Allianz Vault and MWI. Stay tuned. More Club Championship action soon.
There. For every click, every clutch, every respawn. We were there for the years of grind, and we're here. Now, the proud founding partner of EWC, powering the biggest event in gaming, shoulder to shoulder with the world's best, making history. Greatness deserves a stage. Lenovo Legion. Reach your impossible.
Es que tenía, o sea, eran picks muy exóticos, pero a pesar de todo, Vitality tenía mucho para sacar la partida, ¿me explico? Ahí estamos.
Thank you, Ton and Trev, for that club championship update.
Aunque yo creía más en los picks de Heltec, claro. Porque tiene un poco más de avance, sentido que tenían como un poco más de energía, pero con el tipo de rotación que llevó el equipo de Vitality, sin duda se lleva la partida.
Falcons also getting eliminated early. Obviously, making it here for MWI was a big deal to the knockout stage, but they only get, like, I think, a collective total of 200, 400 points. So, eliminated early on stage 3. They're having a tough run. The club championship race is looking tough for them, at least for the first 2 weeks. But for Na'Vi, it is all guns ablaze. They're already in first place. And on top of that, in the club championship race, and on top of that, they just secured a spot into the grand final. So Na'Vi looking like one of the strongest orgs out there early on in just week 2 for the club championship. Now, back to reality, where we currently are. Team
¿Qué pacho? What the fuck?
Vitality versus Geltec Cyber Team. It is 2-1. Vitality is currently up and Geltec needs to come back. The pressure is at a boiling point for the Geltec Cyber Team ladies. What's the game plan here?
I'm gonna go for Occam's Razor again. Do what's obvious, and I feel like in the first 3 pick, get KOA's hero. If not, it's just gonna get banned out, and then you're gonna be scratching your heads again, and then afterwards, it's just like, well, I guess we lose, because game number 1, Vival got the Fredrin, not a great jungler, lost. And then game number 2 as well as 3, KOA got the Boxia as well as the Bellman, not really that great, and then lost. There seems to be a pattern, break that pattern.
So what's the hero select for KOA? What is the win condition for Geltec Cyber Team?
I feel like there's plenty. When we're talking about KOA, she has so many unique picks under her belt, but obviously we're thinking about the assassins. She's picked up the Benedetta in the past, that's out meta. Fanny is something that should still find some success, but we haven't seen either. Lancelot, the Lings of the world. KOA is a highly mechanical player. That's the reason she was given the term Ice Queen in the first place, right? Everyone was really stunned with her exceptional gameplay. I would say top 3 in the league right now when it comes down to junglers. So give her a draft that allows her to perform at that level.
I gotta say, even in 2024, one of the times she got a title Ice Queen, when she was willing to pick up a Julian when Julian was really not in the meta, and she still did well with it. Right now, we are jumping into draft here. Geltec Cyber Team is gonna be first pick blue side, Vitality. Second pick red side. We're playing Expanding Rivers, so this is gonna be a great opportunity for the teams to have very strong side leaders. And now, banning out the Gwyn, banning out the Atlas for Geltec Cyber Team, for Vitality banning out the Harara, banning out the Marcel, and now an Esmeralda gets banned up as well. So Geltec, based on what's happening in MWI, good early picks are that Bellaric, that Carry. Harara has been banned out now. In terms of the junglers, I don't know. Actually, not I've noticed it. We also didn't see much Freya, which I feel a bit weird for, but hey, c'est la vie.
It really depends on the team, I feel. Like some teams favor the Freya a little bit more than others. And in this particular matchup, we don't really see too much of Freya, but obviously still keep your eyes out for that. Geltec here, if they do want to set up for a assassin in the jungle, maybe pick up something that usually counters it, like the Moskov is still open. That's something that they can go for in the early phase of the drafts. With the Paquito also banned out, it's opening up that possibility even more.
Yeah, honestly, when you're playing Expanding Rivers, I feel like this is one of those maps, if you want to play double fighters, it's actually quite viable. But that does mean you have to pick up an early, either Kimi, Yusin Shin, or a Freya. Because I feel like Freya also enables quite a few double fighter matchups.
You want to go Freya Aulus for Geltec? You know, fall back to the Aulus. I know it's not an assassin, but it is one of her priority heroes.
If they want to go for an Aulus, they're going to pick up something like a
Yo digo que esta sí la puede ganar Vitality ya, así de una, sin miedo al
but
éxito.
not really. He's kind of there more of a distraction rather than a true finisher. So I respect the carry pick and still opening up the possibility of, honestly, any picks on the jungle.
Okay. I think they're going to leave the gold lane matchup for later. They can do it on red 3. What is a hero that is left open? Do they want to prioritize their mid lane here first? Do they want to go for something like the Eve that has found them success if they want to control River?
I'm with Leo, honestly, where Leo said Eve is probably the strongest mid laner right now, and I do agree. Very tanky, a lot of damage, a lot of range. They pick up the Bellic first, as well as the Claude here. So this is very interesting. Not saying it's bad, but it is a losing matchup against the carry. So why do they pick up the Claude early? What are they hiding?
That's why I thought it would be red 3, because when it comes down to matchups, in the, well, I would say, yeah, early game, like 1 to 3, carry definitely dominates the lane, but Claude, in the longer scheme of things, especially when he already has his ult, it can still favor the Claude in moments like that. So are they waiting for the mid matchup first? in order for them to choose?
complicado
Are they
para
choosing between
Heltec.
the Lilia and
Pero todavía
and
mañana
Yi,
tienen
or
una oportunidad, eso es bueno.
maybe they found success on the Selena earlier on. It turns out the Selena is one of Cini's power picks. Maybe they want to see if there's an opportunity to pick that up again.
Well, Geltec has an opportunity to pick up a jungler right now, and they do. They pick up the Owlus as well as the Lapu Lapu. Good news, bad news. Good news, they get strong picks. Bad news, they're showing their hand. There's no deception in this kind of draft. So now,
Va a estar difícil. Yo creo que esta la ganaría Heltec y nos vamos a las 5 partidas.
They know the matchups.
Lapu Lapu, Aulus y Carry.
Cini's pretty good.
Ver el Cloud, no sé
What's the
tanto
counter
de
to the Owls?
Cloud.
Do they,
No porque sea un
do
mal
they
pick,
wanna
pero no lo
go
sé.
for something like assassin heavy? But I feel like the window becomes very limited because the Owlus gets strong very quickly in the mid game.
Honestly, Boxia wouldn't be a bad pick here.
You wanna go Baxia?
Because you already have the Belleric. The Belleric can change CC a little bit for the Owlus, especially if you wait for Owlus to use the first kill. And then the Boxia is there just to reduce the healing from Owlus as well as Lapu. Because so far, Vitality has won early just because they keep winning those trades. Boxia is a trade winner, but for now, they do pick up the Eve. So I feel like Vitality, they're keeping their options open because Boxia is one answer. The other answer is if you want to be fast, you can pick up something like a Suyo. Hasn't done well here. And honestly, going up against Carry, Lapu, and Owlus, I'm actually quite okay to pick up a Ling. I feel like this is one of those games, you're looking at this matchup, Ling doesn't get punished that hard.
Yeah, there's no lockdown potential so far, right? With the Lapu Lapu being picked and the carry. That's why I thought that maybe they want to prioritize something like the Moskov. But obviously, they chose the carry to set up for their own Owlus pick. I want something a little crazier though, you know? I want something like maybe an X-Borg jungle. Again, it's still something that I really do enjoy seeing in this current meta. Or maybe even something crazier like the Assassins of the world. But obviously, they are trying to set up for it. You do see the Kaja being banned out, so they are opening up more
Me encanta que sus
options
sillas digan eso. O sea, me
for
encanta porque
Viva.
hace que se vea más serio.
Okay, well,
O sea,
there
me
it goes.
explico
Yeah,
más
because
del
Geltec see
evento
this
todo,
coming. They
no
don't
tan
have crowd
así
control,
como
right?
que una
At
silla
most, they have
cualquiera.
slows. And Lapu's done.
¿Quiénes se la dan las sillas
It's
después de
very
todo eso? O sea, todos
predictable.
los
Sure, Eve
artículos.
might have difficulty avoiding it, same as Belleric, but a very fast assassin. Honestly, I'm looking at the draft even more. There's a lot of assassins that can really do well here, even a Hayabusa. So Geltec, I
No
don't
lo
think they will have
sé.
enough bans to really shut down Vival, and that's kind of
Escuché
scary.
decir un
Vival
Hayabusa,
has a
yo
lot of heroes.
no sé.
Even though we've only seen her on a few picks this
No
time around here at
creo.
MWI, which were mostly tanks to begin with, she has a lot that she can utilize. So I want to see them really like pin down on it. I mean, the Suyo is still definitely an option because
Wait, no, I'm seeing an Akai. Akai is available too.
it is.
They have an Eve as well as a Claw. They have enough damage, right? And they,
Podría
with an
ser.
Akai, they can punish all three heroes of Geltec.
Force carry purify.
No
Honestly,
estoy
just
segura.
shut down QA and then you're good, right? Start QA with 0, 3, and 1. You're off to the races, and now even the Lilia gets banned out. So this is looking more and more like they're setting up for one more tank here. I mean,
I
you
gets banned.
okay? You know what? We know each other so well. You know, at this point, we're in his ears somehow.
Somehow, some way, the Akai gets
Una
banned.
Ibe.
So again, Suyo is an option, which is why maybe they banned out the Lilia, right? Lilia, heavy
Suyo.
burst, heavy damage in the early stage of the game. Suyo, very susceptible
Bueno.
to that early game magic damage. So they set up for the Arlet first. That would have been a perfect Akai pick in if they were able
Yeah.
to combo it with the Arlet as well, but it's not going to be available to them right now.
Yeah, I actually feel like maybe even Belleric is enough-ish for this Arlet as an activator. Because other than that, I really don't think there's too many more junglers that can really activate for the Arlet. So now for Geltec, they need a very heavy front line here because Lapu can dive, Aulus can stay in the front, but not alone. He needs a friend. So what is going to be a good friend here? I think a Gatot would be quite well. Other than that, am I missing something here? Atlas is banned, Belleric has already been picked.
I don't think there's room for Minotaur.
They go for the okay. Listen. I know there's a lot of anti-tanks from the side of Vitality, but the Glorious Pathway negates the slows coming in from the RWM. So maybe. And here's the thing, Geltec, they want to play how they usually play, which is force fights. I move forward, you fight me back. You die, I die, someone wins.
Which is why the Belleric is still really good in this matchup.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. They want people to dive onto him. So I'm surprised with the next picks as well. I'm surprised with the Valentina pick. Obviously, you can pick up the real world manipulation. It could definitely put things in your direction. And you can also copy the ultimate from Arlet. So there is creativity and playability for this Valentina to work.
Yeah, and now the Nolan gets picked up. So again, the story of the entire series here: win fast, lose fast.
Siento que esta partida
Although I'd have
podría
to
ser
say,
para
this
Celtic.
time both teams have pretty solid scaling, so we might actually go to the late game, maybe 70 minutes.
Will the lights finally go out on the Dark Horse roster run of Celtic Cyber Team? Or will the sun shine on them one more time to force a Game 5? Or is this when Team Vitality shuts the door on their competitor,
O sea,
moves
no
forward
dudo
to
de
Grand
los
Finals,
picks de
and once
Vitality.
again secures
O
a
sea,
championship? All
pero
that and more to figure out as we
creo
head
que en la
in to
facilidad
map
también está
4.
más
It's
ese.
Team Vitality versus Celtic Cyber Team. Brigida, Gideon, let's see what map 4 is to bring.
And we're excited to bring you all the action here from the land of Dawn right to your screens.
Ese
Here
digo,
at
tienen picks como un poco luego medio de su lado. Por ejemplo, pican mucho a Bruno, nosotros este lado picamos mucho Brody. ¿Me explico?
It completely changed our impression of
Bueno,
how
Cloud
the game could
Ranger.
potentially go. Simply because I think it was also
Cositas
able
así.
to, if not balance out what we thought were lacking, but also complement the idea that we were expecting from them. It's looking like a really rundown type of composition that you could just expect to fastly move around the team fights.
Yep, speaking of fastly move, we're already seeing right here, right now, they want the Lethal Wanderer back.
Buen
but
desgaste,
Nolan is
buen
nowhere
desgaste
to
que
be
está haciendo
seen.
esa IB.
With that, that's going to give you plenty of information as we see Nolan going
O
vertically
sea, me gusta
into
más la
enemy
composición
territory.
nuevamente de Celtic, pero en la movilidad está teniendo mayor habilidad Vitality.
Oh, that's okay. It's still at least Retribution away, and then you're going to run. And there's nothing you can do. Nolan's particularly hard to catch in the early stages of the game, and now that he has purple buff, even more so. But now we start looking towards Fumiko's lane. A really nice freeze and a good call by Liu Leon to say, hey, you know what? Get your boy, get everybody here. We're expecting another engagement. Help me get this wave out, and then we can go back to neutral states.
Yeah, they're playing it both aggressively on the sides, but they are not overstaying for too long enough to get punished because GCT seemingly, with the rotations that we've been discussing or with the lineup that they have, could be quick to do just that in order to provide some respo. We're seeing once again another attempt potentially up top, but Vival has different plans in mind. Vivian and Vival are just trying to scout out Kyoe.
Yep, I mean, for the longest time, Kyoe was already revealed on the map, and Vival right now has some decent damage, but needs to catch Kyoe without her cooldowns. It's the only way they're going to be able to make this work.
That's what I'm thinking. Does Vival actually burst down Kyoe, especially if they catch them off guard as the Nolan? Because I feel like that could be one of the go-to plans for Vitality if they want to make things a bit more simpler on their end.
They absolutely can, but they need Vival to have a lead first. Damage reduction is a really powerful stat, and only very few heroes actually have access to them. Luckily, we got two of them already in the Lapu Lapu and the Aulus, making it a really big difference in how long these fights are going to go. Man, that Concussive Blast is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, they poked down City to half HP, forcing her to recall even before this objective. I think at least Chell has been able to double lane to a certain extent, so Vitality are just really focusing on the farm, at least for now. But oh, wait, Vival might find Tokyo here, but at least Tokyo does get to find a way out with the flicker.
Oh, luckily, denied that second wave, and this will mean that the grab does go over into Claw's hands. Now
Si el club hubiera pensado, lo hubiera ido a alcanzar para llevarse
have
aquí.
very little ways to contest this, but do they actually find a way around it? It's a no. Kyoe still secures it with the Retribution. Vivian has to flicker out, but Liubon and Kyoe are actually going for the chase. That's going to be first blood for GCT.
Okay, not bad. At least they get one into Vivian. Not exactly ideal to lose one of your team members, but at least Vivian hit 4 before she went down. Timers are still very low. 4 seconds, she's already back up, and now attacking on the bottom side. Guess what? Claude ain't that easy, especially with fighter emblems. So much sustain.
But I think that was a huge advantage, really, that GCT got to make out of that simple poke they got to do onto Cine, and even the reaction from Vival. So now they've somewhat gotten a bit more control across the map, but Kyoe looking very low. Still not enough to take her down.
Yep, the people who want to burst her down can't catch her without the cooldown. Everybody else just doesn't have enough burst to finish her off. And even so, we see that GCT, honestly, this has been a very honest game from both sides. No sly movements, no overly thought out plans. It's very straightforward. We're looking to play it and keep it simple. Vitality. So far, we've only seen the biggest play. We've all trying to catch out Tokyo. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again, but they're readjusting to move a lot of their forces to the top side of the map.
Yep, we might see a bit more of that come, especially here towards the purple buff. Vitality are not letting go of this push. Quejo already has to deal with a bit of damage, but now they're going to respond back with the glorious
O sea,
pathway.
5 minutos y solo tenemos una kill. Nadie se está arriesgando. O sea, el equipo de Heltec no está para arriesgarse. Buena, buenísima.
Into place. The Suns from Liuban are actually going to connect. They find the trade onto
Contesta
Vival.
el
And
equipo
now
de
City and
Heltec.
Vivian just have to escape, but do they have the tools?
Ush,
This is Liuban
pero
going for
tienen
the
mucha
chase. The
velocidad.
Sun lands.
12
And that's
eliminaciones.
another kill over to GCT.
Beautifully played by both sides. But most impressively, Lubon was able to respond
3
in time
eliminaciones.
to catch all 3 of the members into the Raging Slash after the Bravest Fighter. And now they look for turrets.
Oh, Fumieco
Bueno,
does
pues,
use the
pero-
final slash. Will get away safely, but is very low on HP. Might not be able to set up for this turtle. And
Por eso
even
los dije,
Vival
creo que
doesn't
tiene
seem to
mejor
be ready for
pick
this
que la
just
parte
yet.
de la
Vivian
Plapo
will be
o
showing up,
Naulos.
however, and City is
Así.
back too.
Ah,
Oh, they're trying to
el
zone them
equipo
out
de
here, and
Vitality,
they
pero tienen muy buena
successfully do so.
movilidad.
They get, oh no, not a full reset. And unfortunately, Vitality will take the turtle off of that. GCT, a little unlucky there, but so far this is why Yves is one of the best mages that we have in the meta. Are they going to be able to catch this?
Oh, they give up that tier 1 down bottom in exchange of the turtle since Chell had to participate in that too. Warak's pickup already there for Fumi Echo. Could Vitality potentially be a bit more aggressive now in terms of the team fights? Because so far, based on what we've been seeing, it's more of like a back and forth between GCT, but it's always GCT being the first to actually position themselves.
Yeah. And better yet, they've been taking the initiative as well, right? They're not just going to take it lying down anymore. They're continuously trying to find opportunities. Vival looking to intercept Tokyo. Rest of them zoning them out. Vivian has Flicker, so she's going to be fine, but that's a pretty big battle spell to lose. This top side, they find a great patience from Vival.
Vivian did burn the flicker there, but I think her passing through that route eventually allowed Vitality to get away safely too, but that was a much more favorable trade for them. They definitely got a kill and turret up top, which probably could hand back the lead towards Vitality this time, but Wrath of Dryad already forced out of Vivian! Fracture coming in from Vival, and now they just focus on Kyoe! The strength of the real-world manipulation is something you're really seeing when Vitality decides to punish.
Yeah, but GCT, they got to make sure that they do their due diligence, right? They got to remember, if Vitality's making like a, oh, if we think this person is solo, would a solo player be walking up this far up? Never at this level of play, never in high level, unless they're trying to get into your head. Then there's another layer to add.
This is currently a lead that's already back in Vitality's hands. It's just continuously going to grow from this point onwards as we look at Chell already prioritizing the DHS on the Claude. So you could really expect that they might be prioritizing a bit more of the fights early on rather than just scaling in a bit more of the macro. Oh, but the Glorious Pathway is already used by Quejo here.
They just want to make sure they get out of this safely, right? They don't, it looks like they're not going to go for the contest because they don't have the first position. Neither do they have enough information about whether or not they can walk through Tri-Brush or maybe through mid lane. It's just not worth the risk, especially after what Tokyo had to go through. Down by bot side is going to be a upward spiral for Kyoe, right? Just gonna have to farm as much as she can. Unfortunately for a hero like Aulus, the jungle just isn't enough. Similarly like Nolan, you gotta go into the wave every once in a while.
But this Nolan also picked up the Malefic gun just now. So you could expect a lot more damage. It's currently being surrounded though, but there will be help. Vivian too, coming from behind! That's Wrath of Dryad! The final slash did not connect, but I think it's gonna be enough to at least take down Quejo. GCT did not expect that quick rotation to come in from Vitality, and they still want more. Vivian going for the chase. Fumi Echo dashing in with a vengeance. Chell and the blazing duet. Fractures from Vitality. Damage damages everywhere to take down 3 from
Vitality, se los
GCT.
dije.
Real unfortunate here. Hey, Luan,
Se los
try, but
dije.
unfortunately, if you're not going to commit the flicker, it's just not
Yo
enough.
sabía.
Tokyo too, trying to find a trade. She does find Fumieko, but they lose out on too much.
I mean, at this point, Vitality understand they've all the early game heroes who've hit their power spikes, they're ready to go. But even better, if you pull up the item list, I'm fairly confident that Vival is already like 2, maybe 2.5 items, arguably 3 items at this point.
Yep, we get to check that later on as Quaedro just tries her best to clear this minion wave in mid, and there you have it.
2.5 items, now slowly building up. Oh, whoa, chill. Let's calm down here. Yeah, it'd be a really bad time to give over a shutdown over to GCT at this point of time, because we look at GCT's items, right? Lubon is kind of the only one who can really compete with some of the members of Vitality. It really depends on the advantages. On the opposite end, Kyoe, 2 items, but not enough attack speed to really start benefiting
más
of
los
all
picks de
the
Heltex,
extra
pero
benefits from all this. Not to mention that it's really good for the endless battle. Just need a little bit more burst to sustain through the power, sustain through the pain.
Yep. So at this point, it's really Lubon who you probably expect to lead the charge, if any, for GCT. But do they really want to risk it at this point? Because they get spotted out in mid. There goes the real final slash already committed onto Quaedro, but that's just space. That's just time that Vitality are able to buy.
They move away. 3.4, 3.6 now as it continues. The Sky rocket for Vitality. I'm expecting it to end up closer towards 6 to 7k. The 7k depends on whether or not a fight breaks out, but 6k if they get all the outer turrets from this point onwards.
Yeah.
And I think that Vival, very happy with everything that has happened. Nobody can stop him, right? There is only one Kyoe. Nobody else has a point-and-click stun. And even for Sanj, still needs to apply the Terrify 2 times to trigger it to happen with a Shadow Strike. So, I don't know, Vitality, the way that they're going in and out of these fights, it's just too much to deal with.
I guess at most it's if you get the Wrath of Dryad or the Final Slash, but Vivian actually goes in to use it first. They really want to take the space turret. Chell trying to focus down on this objective, but still GCT are heavy on the defense. Kyoe pushing them away. Lubon jumping in with the bravest fighter, but the Land Shaker does not connect onto anyone. GCT are forced to disengage.
Buenísima partida. No todo se juega con aguante, movilidad full.
But now, underneath the turret, there's still a possibility of
Se mete Benedict, les corta la línea. Bueno, se les intenta y los despeja para que el equipo se haga la línea sin problema.
Wait till the next Lord. I guarantee you GCT is going to walk out.
I think they're trying to constantly remind each other to just
Y es que no los van a alcanzar. O sea, con los picks que traen son muy lentos. Valentina, insisto, a pesar de que piquean mucho Valentina, no sé. O sea, veo que no, como que no le sacan jugo, ¿me explico?
Minute mark, but I'm not sure if Vitality want to make it to that point, especially now that you're looking at a lineup which could really heavily scale into the late game.
Well, there's only 2 ways that can happen. Either number 1, Kyoe somehow steals the Lord, this next upcoming Lord. It's the second one that's spawning, by the way, so it is kind of difficult to chunk down, especially since Vitality are all over level.
Wait.
O sea que no todo está dicho también. En una de esas entran mal Vitality. Y podrían remontar. Extendidos. Extendidos.
There goes another kill onto Tokyo or Kyoe as well.
3-3. O sea, ahí nada que ver. O sea, nada que ver.
Honestly, looking at everything, GCT came out on top.
Yeah.
They were 6.6k down, got an even 50-50 trade against their opponents, used the same amount of battle spells, the same amount of ultimates, and yet came out despite the huge economic lead.
Por ejemplo, Aureus no sé qué estaba haciendo ahí, no tenía vida, o sea, se tenía que haber ido. Y hubiera sido con vida y hubiera sido una kill menos.
But a really good attempt, because now, by the time the Lord actually spawns, it's a full reset.
Come to think of it, it's
ya se hubiera cuidado un poquito y regresado. Es que te has dado cuenta, o sea, en varias partidas han sacado a Valentina y en muy pocas les han sacado jugo. O sea, usualmente se les quedan cortos y es que usar Valentina significa que vas a poder usar todos los picks, todos los héroes, ¿me explico? O sea, de eso depende Valentina, pero no he visto que lo saquen jugo.
but just maintaining that distance constantly, playing the footsies
Como
against
Bruno, también hemos
Vitality,
visto el pick
just
de
to make
Bruno
sure,
y
hey,
nada
you
más
may get
no
first
le
position, but at
encuentro
least we
como
know all
que
of your first positions.
como que le saque un jugo.
I think somehow the damage is
Ay,
a
espérame.
bit more expected to come through. That's a lightning truncheon already locked in for Sonj. And Tokyo's already
No sé
completed
cómo
the
quito
Trinity
esto.
as well for this
Sí, voy a tener
carry.
que cerrarlo.
But I think the question remains, what does
Ahí
Sonj
está.
actually pick up for the IMU to really make sure that they get at least an advantage against Vitality in terms of the counter engage? Is it really the Wrath of
Entonces es así
Dryad
como
that they
que
could really make the most
no
out
sé,
of, or could
Rick.
it be the final slash?
I don't know. I'm thinking...
RWM?
I think it has to be the RWM. There's just nothing else like it, especially when you have a glorious pathway on your side. At least you can slow them down, but here comes the next upcoming fight. I don't know if Vitality want to commit to this right now, because they still have that second wave, but now, look at Vival, literally playing with her food. Keep in mind that a majority of that 9K lead is because of Vival.
Oh, that's spicy. Liubon trying to take on this 1v1, but there's also a separate team fight happening in mid. Kuejo right under the real world manipulation as Liubon goes down in the hands of Vival. And that's exactly what we were asking. This is such a brave decision to come in from Liubon, but at least they get to defend the base.
This is disgusting. Disgusting stuff coming out from Vival right now. And the rest of the team is working like a well-oiled machine, denying space, making sure that nothing feels safe. It feels like GCT, every time they open up a bush, it's a minefield out there.
Yeah, who do you actually send to do that? It's mostly supposed to be Kuejo, right? Already having to pick up the immortality as well, but even then the burst damage might be a bit too much to handle. The final slash gets touched somehow here by Kyoei, but even as she just tried to clear, you could see how difficult she had to how the difficulty she had to deal with in terms of surviving the damage from Vitality.
Yeah, but now Vitality, they crack their knuckles, they sit back. We got the 9K lead, guys. The next Lord is where we must end it. First, we need to make sure that GCT doesn't get to the 42K mark comfortably, right? They're going to eventually hit it. There's no going around that, but we can make their life a living hell.
No one's aware that Vival's there in that bush too. GCT have seemed to understand that they might need to group together a bit more, and there have been some movements.
Estaría muy difícil que la remontaran. Tendría que equivocarse mucho.
Barely little idea of where
Vitality en el entrar para que el equipo de Heltec aguante y les pueda remontar. Esa sería la única opción. ¿Me
It's kind of
explico?
difficult to argue that GCT doesn't have enough damage, but the truth is they just don't have enough items. They don't have enough gold. And finally, the Malefic Roar is out for Kyoei.
Oh, Fumieko going in, tries to dive, goes for Sonjke. Sonjke steals away the final slash, but they're still yet to go for the counter engage. Just chill and Viva from the back! They make sure that this is gonna be a
Es que para qué, o sea, yo no entiendo esas salidas, no las entiendo. Solo entiendo para qué ser TF así. Sin una torreta, con la línea pushada, con la salida de un Lord. No lo entendí. Son aniquilados.
Oh my goodness, what a game this was. From not only outplays, we finally come to the outclass. The title defenders are here and are wanting to stay.
Finalistas para
Welcome
mañana.
to the grand finals. We missed you here.
The MWI champions.
Pero te digo, o sea, en lo último Heltec tuvo entradas muy raras.
And 2025 will meet at the grand finals of this year. It wasn't as clean as their previous run. They've been dropping games, they've been having long games, but eventually Vitality still make it back to the top.
And of course, true sportsmen, despite being defending top champs, they're still going to have their fist bumps down. But with every competitor that we see have to leave, it breaks my heart to see Geltec put up one hell of a fight. Game one gave me so much confidence that maybe their hero pool was bigger than we thought, but the comforts, they need to expand how comfortable they are on multiple heroes, especially when you're at the top.
And I cannot get over these two savages brought to us by Vival in just a single series, 2 games straight up against GCT. That was a statement brought to us right there by this jungler from Team Vitality.
So happy for everybody involved here, especially for those at Vitality. We're going to be throwing it over to have an even view with them right now.
First and foremost, congratulations on yet another grand finals appearance. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Of course, coming into this event, everyone expects you guys to perform at this level. Now you're in grand finals. How do you deal with the pressure of living up to such high expectations?
It has always been our place to be in the grand final, so I guess this is where we belong.
It's a right. It's a right for them to be here. They were invited. They were invited to be here.
Absolutely phenomenal, and with good reason.
And of course, the home ground heroes right here, Team Vitality. The crowd goes wild for you guys. And you guys have definitely earned the place in grand finals. Now we would like to invite Geltec to please hand over your keys to Seni from Vitality. Thank you, Geltec. You guys did EECA really, really proud. You fought well and valiantly. Now, Seni, how does it feel like holding the key of your opponent? I know you guys have been looking forward to meeting Geltec, but how does it feel really, knowing that you defeated them?
It feels I'm really grateful to be holding their key, I guess.
Very grateful. Now, the next one, it's going to be a grudge match. 2024 MWI winners going up against you guys, the MWI 2025 winners. They were the ones that took the win from you. Tainting your golden road. Is there anything you would like to say to them?
Maybe we want to get revenge on them because of the 2024 grand final.
Maybe.
We definitely want to get revenge.
Yeah, they definitely want to take revenge. So yes, that's right. This is Team Vitality heading to the grand finals. Take your walk
felicidades.
of victory.
Victory!
And of course, to the fans' delight, it is time for Vitality to crush yet another key. This is Geltec's key going. Time to set it up and crush them. And technically only one key to crush before Vitality can keep their throne as the undisputed queens of MWI. They won last year and they're looking to win this year again. It is time to turn that crusher on. As always, one dream shattered and the other one stays alive for tomorrow. It is time to get ready for the crusher. Vitality making it to grand finals. Obviously the fans will be there and back. These guys are ridiculous. The vibes are looking incredible. The vibes are immaculate at the MWI, and you know Vitality will be celebrating because these guys, they will be back tomorrow for grand finals in style. So make sure you're there tuning in for these. That's gonna be ridiculous. Looking forward to the grand finals. Without further ado, let's enjoy the vibe and take a look at the highlights.
Qué bonito.
The Vitality fans rejoice and they jump and they bang the drums and they celebrate as Vitality have officially done what they came here to do, make it back to grand finals, and it's going to be a rematch from 2024. What a story we have to tell. But first, for Geltec Cyber Team, EECA region, they came to at least accomplish history. They were the underdogs, and what a historic moment to make it to semifinals. And let's face it, they still have a chance for third place. So in celebration of them, I think it's well said.
Mañana la gran final. Mañana se va a llegar temprano. I promise.
Oh yeah, for sure. I gotta say, based on today, I'm really looking forward to see how they bounce back for tomorrow. Because it looks like today they had a strategy. It didn't work out. I'm pretty sure it will hurt their spirits just a little bit because they were quite close getting to the grand finals, and that really hurts. But some people just generate that hurt into more skill for tomorrow.
Sure. Well, there were 2 losers today, so they're both going to have that good mentality coming in to the matchup. Let's take a look at one of our actions from that last match, and we'll break it down for you, of course. Here we're at the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, at this point in time, very similar to the one before, you can see that there should have been a possibility of a great opening coming in from Sonjika. But I don't know, the final slash just really didn't hit or land the way that it did. And because they were already so far behind, it was very easily for the rest of the members for Team Vitality to find their moment, find their place. And we get the second Savage from the previous game. Woo! And then here, and it just really highlights that when you take a look at Team Vitality, it's not just about Vivian, it's also about Vival.
Can I just say, it feels very validating to call the draft one thing, calling the time that is going to end. I mean, sure, 4 seconds, but come on, that's basically 17 minutes.
I would give it to you. No,
right?
That's not accurate. You know what? 2 to 1, you're outnumbered. I'm giving it to him.
Hey, it turned out I called
spoken.
Game number 2, game number 3. I told you early end, 17
Ganaron
minutes.
por movilidad, sin
Round up.
dudas,
If it was
sin
a 4,
dudas.
okay, I could see you rounding down. Let's round up to 17.
The Falcon do better.
Do you feel like 4 seconds is a long time?
Yes.
Oh, and you know what? Honestly, for some it is. 15 or 60 minutes, 56 seconds to round ends. Vitality takes the win. Might have been a rocky start, let's face it. They looked a bit choppy, but they snapped back, winning 3 in a row. And again, a historic grand final setup before us between 2 incredible organizations, both doing incredibly well so far in week 2 for the club championship race. It's Na'Vi and Vitality. We take a look at some of the emotions on the stage, and even the coaches were feeling the pressure.
You know what? I'm just going to start just a little bit early on the story, because I just want to make sure one thing does not happen, which has been happening year after year after year after year. Grand finals is a sweep, right? Somehow, some way in the MLBB scene, doesn't matter if the women's division or the men's division, it happens in a sweep. I hope, because this is a revenge story, it goes all the way.
Which is why I think momentum is so important, especially when we get to the grand finals, because of how high pressure everything is. Just losing one game can really affect your mentality. Now, I'm hoping that since Na'Vi PH and BTR Vitality have been in the same position before, they have the mentality to bounce back even after a loss in the first game.
I'm hoping so. Vitality, look at the smile on their faces as they're just playing and having a good time, and you could really tell they were super comfortable when we headed into their locker room. Obviously, they were just going in there instead of meeting up, talking strategy. They all just got on their phone, got on social media, made their celebration post early. Feeling comfortable, and of course even their CIO going out there, which big news to him. He actually did a championship update earlier with Trev, and he commented on how much Vitality is committing to the club championship race this year. So having these ladies do as well as they are is a big boon for Team Vitality.
I mean, honestly, looking at how Vitality performed just now,
Para mañana vamos
talk about
a
momentum,
tener
talk about having a statement, having 2
el
Savages
versus
back
de-
to back in both games. I kind of feel like if Na'Vi was watching that, they're like, oh boy.
Not Ayanami can do it. She's my GOAT.
She is the GOAT. She is her, as we've been saying. It is, in fact, set up to be an incredible final day of MWI. But we're going to have to wait at least one more day until we get to that point. But even though we're waiting for the grand finals for tomorrow,
todavía no
you
suben
can
los
get involved
resultados.
now when it comes to MLBB, because it's Rhino Day. Brand new interactive effect for Rhino Day is available now. Check it out and join the celebration. Plenty of things to get involved in. And look who's excited to turn up. You're feeling good about Rhino Day.
I love rhinos.
Yes.
I love rhinos.
I'm just a few games away from becoming a dragon.
Drop the coach cool.
Dragon.
Which is mythic.
Pero tener que ver 12, wow.
You've hit that once.
Rhinos,
50 stars. Congrats.
¿Dónde dice?
Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's not Dragon Day. It is Rhino Day. Rhino Day. Hey, check it out. Trev, he's got the club championship
Pues en realidad,
updates,
como
and
voy
we
a hacer
need one
todavía 2
because we're
semanas
nearing the
más.
final day of the MWI.
We've just wrapped up day number 4 of MWI here at the
Aló,
Esports
aló, ahí
World
está,
Cup
sí.
in 2026, where Team
Está o
Vitality
sea,
have
se la
just
saco,
taken down
estamos a la
Geltec
mitad.
Cyber Team to get themselves into the grand finals. They're looking to try and earn the first 1,000 points for Team Vitality in the club championship. Over the other side of the bracket, though, Na'Vi clean sweep their opponents to earn their spot in the final. And with Dark Angel earning them
Literalmente estoy a la
1,000
mitad.
points last week, they're
Llevo
looking to go back to
ahorita.
back in the Allianz Vault to top off the
Me
club
faltan 5
championship
horas
table
40
at the end
minutos.
of week 2. Stay tuned, because there's
Así
still
que
so much more to come in the
estamos
club
bien en ese
championship.
sentido. Vale, chicos. Ya finalizó el día de hoy. Mañana vamos a seguir. Hola, Elian, justo a tiempo. ¿Quién ganó? Vitality. Vitality ya está para la final. Y de la partida pasada, ahorita te digo por qué, ya no me acuerdo.
Thank you, Trev, for that update. He's right.
Tengo pésima memoria, como se darán cuenta. Ay, espérense. Ahí estamos. Ahí está.
Arena, after all, they're doing such a great job, but they've got to tighten to get through, and it's a rematch of epic proportions. Again, we take a look at some of the emotions of the players and even the fans.
Galaxy,
man.
no me acuerdo.
Vitality super fans show up and show out, and Vitality, we're feeling so comfortable.
La ventaja. Navi ganó.
Grand finals will be coming up
Navi
very quickly, but not only is it Rhino Day,
Vitality
we also have
ganó.
a chance for
Ajá,
My
esos dos.
Champions Pick. 2 champions, 1 game. My Champions Pick event is now live. From July 27th, submit your predictions for the MSC and MWI champions for a chance to win 50,000 in-game diamonds and MSC 2021 through 2025 tournament skins. Don't forget to leave your picks under at MLBB Esports Post for even more chances to win. Lock in your champions now and cheer for your favorite teams. My Champions Pick now live. A lot of things to earn, and you know what? I want you all to earn. Let's take a look at a couple of our highlights that ended up happening throughout the day, because we had several of them. Again, the coaches feeling the pressure, feeling the pain of each and every moment. For the players themselves, though, they had to go through the gauntlet. Unfortunately, for 2 teams, their keys were crushed. However, we will still see them again tomorrow as they play for 3rd place.
I gotta say, I feel like in terms of emotions today, for the winners, I think this is also showing their veterancy as being champions from before. They don't get overly excited. It's like, yes, we win, but the job's not over just yet. If we just, go through the adrenaline, we might go through a mistake. But for the team that lost today, this is a new learning experience where they have